Hey guys, welcome to this week's stream. Sorry, the music's a bit loud. I've been dancing around in the office before the stream today. I hope you guys can hear me loud and clear. Let me know if you can. Let me know if there's any problems with the audio. It looks like it's alright at the minute. Big shout out to Anarchy who got first today. Sorry, UB, you didn't get first today, I'm afraid. That was Anarchy, Julian, Karcher, George, Satanicist. Good evening, folks. I hope you're all doing well wherever you are in the world today. Got Clavier here as well. Good afternoon, good evening actually where you are. I think you're an hour ahead of me. I think it's 9 PM where Clavier is. Amir's here as well. Glad to see you, dude. UB says rigged. Rope's here as well, saying hello dude, glad to see you. Amir's asking, did I type J on my E6.5 so you don't forget your name? No, I didn't ask for this, so let me disconnect this and show you. If you guys didn't see this on the build stream, the badge actually says J, and that was something that Exclusive did as part of my board. He charged me for it, but he did it. So it wasn't my choice, but yeah, I can never forget. Why do I always say so much? I need to stop doing that. You guys need to play a drinking game where every time I say you guys take a sip or a shot or something. You'll be drunk within 20 minutes. So I'm going to make a conscious effort to try and reduce the amount of I do today. So it's my thinking noise now. I'm going to struggle. Yeah. There we go. I got a few things to talk about today, guys. Something really close to my heart, which is the IDB situation with Pingu. Acidic Pure's here as well. Hey, good to see you. And as well as talking about the IDB, we're going to build a Matrix 1.2 OG, which is the first time I've ever even seen one of these boards in real life. Never mind built one, so I'm really looking forward to showing you guys that because it's pretty cool. As well as that, I've also got something new that I want to introduce at the end of the stream, see how you guys feel about it. You can tell me how you feel when we get there, but it's kind of like a bit of a scoring that I'm going to do. So instead of Doug DeMuro's car score that he gives at the end of a stream, whenever he's been recording the cars, I'm going to start to do a J score, at least for this board. If you guys like it, if you guys find it fun, you can help me set up the categories. We'll add it up and we'll see how we get on from that perspective. I think it's quite a fun idea. I'm looking forward to trying it. I've not seen any other people do it on keyboard streams, so we're going to try and rate every board we build from here on out. And I'll make that public so you guys can see. Guys can see what my thoughts are on it. I might add a comments page to it as well or something. We'll get it up on the Top Clack website. If it's crap and it falls flat on its face and you guys don't like it, you'll never see it again. So that's something we're going to try once the build's complete. And you guys can really help me nail down those scores as well. So I'll say what I think my score is for each segment, and we'll cover that off towards the end of the stream. And you guys can tell me whether you agree, whether you disagree. You might be able to influence my decision, and we'll try and come up with a J score for every board that we build on stream going forwards. I hope that sounds fun. Leave your thoughts in chat. Let me know what you think to that. Amir saying, Jay, the hero we don't deserve, but the hero we need with the IDB. Well, I'll wait until the bot pings before we get into any details on the IDB, but we do have a way forward, and I've typed a bit of a text response as well. I know a lot of people have been asking for the text, and I will post it after the stream. The reason I wanted to do the stream first is because you guys are probably going to have questions, and I want to be able to answer those questions live and give an answer, and then add them to the document that I'm going to share. So it makes sense to do it that way rather than do it the other way around, and means that I have less work to do. Bot's pinged, has it? Has it? Oh, that's Artisan Talk. Yeah, oh, no, it has pinged. I thought it was just Artisan Talk that was pinging there. So Satanicist has just PM'd me and said, J Scott, dig it, and a smiley face. Thank you very much, dude. Thank you. What else are we talking about? Damage Point has subscribed at tier 1, subscribed for 8 months. Thank you very much, my dude. I really appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Okay, so I'll give it a few more minutes. If you guys have got any questions now about the IDB situation, if you ask them, I will try and answer them as part of my descriptions that I've got. So I've written out quite a lot of text. It's about 4,000 characters, so I'm going to go through it, make sure that that it all makes sense as I read it through, make sure that you guys can understand what I'm trying to get across as the points and all of that kind of stuff too. Gouty's here too. Yeah, so Gabson, we're going to talk about the IDB shortly. I just want to make sure that everyone who's going to join for the IDB chat is here. We're going to absolutely do that up front. We're going to talk about that. Yes, I'll talk about, George, how about we're going to verify people that are telling the truth about what they ordered. We've got a very good method of doing that. And Mia, who's in chat, and Janik have been very, very helpful on that front. We'll have a guide and everything else people can do to show that through. Rescue Goose version 2 available. Yes, definitely, please. Flexman has subscribed at tier 1, so for 3 months. Thank you very much, Flexman. Really appreciate that, my dude. Metropolis, such a pretty set. Yeah, I actually dug out the Metropolis key mouse mat because I knew I had it somewhere. It was in storage. I used it for about a week when I first got it 6 months ago, and I thought, now I've got the key set on a board, which is on my E6.5. I figured, why not use the desk mat now? So it makes perfect sense. So here we are. And it also kind of lines up almost perfectly with the stuff down here that you can see. So there we go. Okay, so Gabson says, thanks for sorting this out. IDB new keep. So the IDB was a group buy that was run by UPass and Pingu in the EU from Pingu's perspective, and in the US from Canon Key's perspective, so UPass. And sadly Pingu's not been around for maybe 12, 13 weeks now, and we don't know why. He's just disappeared from, the community. He hasn't been around a lot at all, in fact. He's not spoken to anyone, he's not responded to any emails, he's not responded to any messages that have been left for him, he's not responded to any parcels that have been sent for him. In fact, they've all been returned. I sent a registered letter a couple of weeks ago, that got returned as well. Darth WTF, the guy behind the boards off, he actually went to try and visit Pingu, couldn't find him. Neighbours said they'd seen him recently, but there was no time scale on that. So at the minute, we just don't know where Pingu is. Now, the good news is that whilst he ordered, 60, 70 boards as part of the IDB group buy from the factory, he has paid the factory. So all of the boards are paid for. He hasn't done a cash grab and run away with the money. The only funds that were left with Pingu after the factory costs were what he charged people for shipping, so that's not available to UPass and I'll cover that later on. With that being said, we don't know what Pingu's situation is. We don't know if he's hurt, if he's injured. We don't even know for certain whether he's alive or not. I've reached out to the police in his city. Sadly, they couldn't tell me anything due to GDPR rules, which is an EU legislation that will only allow them to tell things to proven relatives. Sadly, I'm not that, so they can't share any information with me without me finding part of his family. That's just not been something I've been able to do and tie down. So where we're left at the moment, and I'll cover off the current position shortly, but where we're left as far as the public position is that Pingu isn't around. The boards have all been paid for. They're currently sat at the factory waiting for something to happen to them. We can't get in touch with Pingu. He's not responding to any emails, he's not responding to any phone calls, he's not responding to any parcel deliveries, letter deliveries. We can't get in touch with him. So UPass and I have been working behind the scenes to try and remedy the situation. We know that you guys have paid for boards, we know that you want them. We know that Pingu's not a scammer because he paid the factory, which is the biggest, single biggest payment that he had to make, and that was all done, well in advance of the group buy. So where that leaves us is that we just don't know what's happening in terms of the public position. We don't know where we don't know where Pingu's going to come from. So UPass and I have been trying to sort this out, and kindly UPass has been in touch with the factory. He has arranged, and this is the update now, guys. This is the IDB 60 latest position from Pingu and I, from UPass and I. Sorry. So UPass has contacted the factory, and he has asked them to ship the boards to me. Originally, when we asked this, they were very against that. They didn't want to do it because they were contracted to Pingu, not to anyone else. They've kind of given us a deadline of the end of October. If they hadn't heard from Pingu, they'd consider shipping them out. UPass has formally put that request in the past week, and we're just waiting for the boards to be shipped. Okay, that means a couple of things. The boards will probably ship some point in November, which means I'll expect to receive them at some point in December. So there's going to be a little bit of time lapse between now and when I actually get the boards. Once I do get them, the first thing I need to do is do an inventory of everything that's there, make sure I understand exactly what I received, lay it all out, go through it. My wife's going to help me. We're going to try and box up as best we can in terms of full keyboard kits. We're going to work out how many colours we have, whatever we have, how many different tops we have, how many different bases we have. We're going to try and make as many kits as possible. Once we've got kind of an inventory and we understand what's possible from that perspective, and in the meantime, UPass is actually sending me across quite a few things. So he's sending me the O-rings, he's sending me the PCBs, he's sending me the hardware, the bump-ons. All of that is going to be shipped to me today, tomorrow, early this week. So UPass is already on with that. He's going to send that across to me in the next couple of days. So I should get that in the next couple of weeks as well. So realistically, where we'll be is by mid-December, we're going to be at a point where all of the boards will be with me, all of the hardware will be with me, and I'll have an inventory of everything that we've received from the factory, assuming everything goes to plan from here. There's a couple of things in between that could throw things in the air. So first of all, we actually have to get the factory to ship. Now they've agreed to, so we just need to actually get them to complete that action. The second part is around costs. So UPass is kindly donating the entirety of his profit that he made on the IDB 60 to help us fulfill this group buy. So he's going to help me cover the shipping costs to you guys, but we'll come back to that later because there's a little bit of a challenge with that. He's going to help me cover all of the packaging costs. He's going to help me cover at least some of the VAT costs that I'll have to pay to receive the boards into the UK. And we should be in a position to sort that out in the next few weeks as well. So roughly speaking, by the end of the second week in December, I expect to have on hand the profits from UPass, the money that he's willing to donate to make this group buy a success and to fix this group buy. I should have all the cases on hand. I will have all the PCBs. I'll have all the hardware, and that will all be with me to then sort through and understand how many kits and everything else I've got. At that point, what we're going to do from there is we're going to come out to you guys and we're going to ask you for the evidence that you've bought the boards that you claim you have. Now, as much as I want to say that everyone's going to be honest, there is the possibility that some people will be dishonest with it. I would encourage people to be as open and as honest as you can. The two challenges we have with this is one, getting evidence from you guys, which we've actually come up with a way of doing. So big thank you to Amir and Janik80, who have come up with a documented way of us being able to get some evidence direct from your accounts without you having to submit images or anything else. And that will tell us when you made your order, how much you paid for shipping, and it will also tell us if you've cancelled your order or requested a chargeback or anything else. Anything that has requested a chargeback or anything else, they will not be shipped to you. You will not get the board because you've done that action. Once we've got that evidence, the missing part of this is that the invoices that Pingu sent don't determine what people wanted. He kept that in a spreadsheet to himself. We don't have access to that spreadsheet. So once we've got the information from you and we've got proof that you did in fact order a board and you haven't cancelled it or changed it, what we're going to ask you then for is a list of the parts that you've got. Now we know the prices of everything, so we can work out whether that matches up to the price that you paid. And we'll need a list of the tops that you ordered, whether you ordered extra PCBs, all of that kind of stuff. So those will be the two things we asked you to submit. The first thing I would say is please don't submit this via DM. UPass and I have got a lot of DMs. We get them all the time. Me from Clack and UPass from from Cannon Keys. We want to keep this separate, so we're going to have a special email address where you can send this evidence to, and we'll be able to create a nice big spreadsheet off the back of it, which will tie into my quality control and inventory spreadsheet, and we can make sure that they both match at the end. We know how many boards Pingu sold, and we know how many boards the factory are going to ship to us as well. So we'll be able to work out when we've got to a point where everyone has come forward and claimed a board. I'm not going to share those numbers because I don't want them to skew people's perception of anything that we're doing. So, and it will be one of our internal verification checks that we have got everything that we said we've got. So I can't share those numbers. We just want to keep it to make sure that we understand it ourselves internally. Once we've got all of that information, I'll then correlate what people have told me they've bought with what we have on stock. Assuming everyone tells the truth and no one's forgotten what they ordered or anything like that, those two bits of data should map up. Once I've got those two data points, I can then start to work out who gets what out of the inventory that I've got, and I'll start to ship those. Realistically, that's going to start to be back end of January. The reason for that is I'm away for 2 weeks at Christmas, so if I get everything on hand by the end of the first week, end of the second week in December, I've got about a week before I go away where I'll be able to start to tie the two together and get your proofs of purchases in. That's going to take a couple of weeks after Christmas as well. I'm anticipating at least 3 weeks of actual work of me being able to do it around my day job, around Clack and everything else that I've got going on. So realistically, I expect by the second week of January to have completed those activities, and I want to start shipping before the end of January. Of course, this is all a very tentative timeline. It all depends on how you guys help us out with this and how you guys follow the rules and everything else that we set out for you. Realistically, that's probably going to take me 4 or 5 weeks of shipping. At the minute, I don't have the capacity to ship any further than that. but I will be trying to develop opportunities for me to be able to ship things faster, so hopefully that'll come on hand, because I'm sure you can imagine there's a lot of boards, takes up a lot of space, especially when we can QCing them and folding boxes and wrapping things up and all of that kind of stuff as well. So realistically, I'm hoping that all of the boards will be shipped by the end of February. Okay. A couple of other things before, and I know you guys are talking in chat, so I will get back to you, everything that's talked about in chat once I've got through the things I want to say, and we'll check if there's any questions. In terms of chargebacks and anything else, we will be checking right before we ship the boards that you haven't done a chargeback or anything else. I would pray to you to not do chargebacks where, because we don't know how that's going to affect Pingu. I don't want to ship someone a board and them charge back Pingu, and then when Pingu does return, I can't rationale as to why we sent that board out for him, or anything like that. That's not going to be good, and it's going to leave Pingu in debt, assuming he's even still alive, which we don't know. So I would encourage people not to do that. If you need to make the money back, wait until you get the board, sell it, put it on RMM, sell it on there, sell it on the Top Clack Discord server, wherever you want. Sell it rather than doing a chargeback. As long as you've got the evidence that you bought the board, we will get the boards out to you, hopefully by the end of February. Next question was around extras. A lot of people have been pinging me and asking for extras. Please don't ping me and ask for extras at the minute. We know that there will be some boards left over, assuming that everything goes as it says. We don't know what condition they'll be in, and I'll talk about QC, quality control, and conditions shortly. So what that does mean is that any extras that are available afterwards, we probably will sell, and we'll talk about what we're going to do the funds when we actually start to talk about extras. But it's going to be, late February, early March, once all the boards have shipped. I'm not even going to consider and entertain the idea of doing anything with the extras until all of the boards are shipped. I know that's going to be upsetting to some people. I'm really sorry, but I need to make sure that everything's shipped first. It's not my group buy. I want to make sure that everything's protected before I even consider selling an extra. I hope you can understand that. In terms of quality, I do want to talk about that because quality does concern me. UPass got the boards from the factory, and bear in mind that these were very cheap, from the factory as well. And suffice it to say that the quality wasn't amazing on some of the boards. What would be considered A stock for other brands, we didn't get any of those. So I'm expecting the same here. What we're going to have to consider A stock would be B stock or C stock from other brands, and I'm really sorry about that. But as I don't have the contract with the factory, I can't challenge them to remake parts or anything else. So that's just one of those things that we're going to have to accept. It's a case of get what you get, and I'm in the IDB 60 group buy as well. I won't cherry pick boards. I'll take whatever's left at the end as my personal board. I'm not going to take the best one or anything like that. I'll probably take the worst looking one out of the lot as my personal one, just because it's not fair for anyone to have to get something that isn't the quality they expected. But sadly, we can't get them to remake any parts, so it is going to be a case of whatever turns up and whatever I'm able to ship to you, that's what we've got, I'm afraid. And I will pick the best of the parts out of the inventory for the boards that we know that we've got, and the extras will be the worst quality bits and pieces of anything that's available. And that's just going to be the fairest way I can do it, I'm afraid. So please don't, if I ship you a board in January time, February time, and it's not the quality you're expecting from other manufacturers, I'm really sorry, but that's just the by and large the bottom end of it. And I'll share some pictures as soon as I've got the boards in as to what kind of expectations we can see on that front, and I hope that makes sense to everyone. Okay, I think I've talked about everything that I was going to talk about there. Let me just check my document, and if I have, then I'll jump into the questions that you've got in chat. We've talked about that. Okay, yeah, so I think that's pretty much everything. The only other thing I wanted to say is we are still really worried about Pingu. I hope he does make a return to the community at some point soon. I hope we can hand maybe this back off to him and he can fulfill or whatever else, or we can complete it together or something like that. But either way, I'm really, really hoping and praying that he is okay wherever he is. Okay, let me jump back into chat and see what you guys are talking about and see if you've got any questions for me. Gabzan says, thanks for sorting this out, no problem. QR says, IDB new key. No, it's a group buy that ran a few months ago and it's just trying to get to fulfillment now. Abek says, my boy, how are you? I'm good, thanks. Nice to see you, Abek. Glad to see you here. Guy Flock says, I haven't received my Metropolis set yet. It's still out for shipping. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I got mine a few days ago. I love it. It's really set. I think I got it Tuesday, something like that. Love the set. I think it's great. Even dug out my Metropolis desk mat to match it as well. So, yeah, great. Horse Tour says, am I late for the stream? Nah, we've just started. Kiora says, I so much want an IDB 65. Until Pingu returns, there won't be any IDB 65s. Ayabadala, yes, we'll be getting onto the build shortly. Is at the side of me. We'll get onto that soon. Pushers here saying, hey ho. 159 says, just got here, start over. Sorry, I hope that made enough sense, 159. IDB 60s are out. So the IDB 60s that have been shipped so far are the US ones, because UPass is still around. It's the rest of the world ones that basically haven't shipped. Okay. Mr. Petrov, UPass and JMod are heroes. We're really not, we're just doing what we can. This is great when we go back to talking about the Haley. Yeah, I might talk about that later on, because I do like that board. Okay. Upas is such a hero. Yeah, Upas is. Donating his profits is absolutely fantastic of him. And that does remind me, the only other challenge we've got is if the profits don't cover all of the shipping costs, we might need everyone to chip in another $5, $10 to cover shipping costs as well. We'll let you know when that comes to it. So that's the only other thing to bear in mind. The shipping costs are unknown to us at the minute. I'm working with DHL to try and get a contract where for these particular boards they'll give me a lower price. I don't know how that's going to go, but we'll see. And if we do need to ask anyone for more funds, we will do that as and when we get to that position. I'm hoping not to have to do it. Okay, George says evidence of getting the boards is easy. The issue that Pingu didn't include details. Yes, I'm aware. I covered that. So there is a process that Amir and Janica have documented which gives us access to be able to see the particular invoice in your PayPal as long as you give us access to do that, and it gives us a live snapshot of that invoice at any given time, so we can see today exactly the status of that invoice, and if that changes, that same link will update if you do chargeback next week. That's what we want to do, and then we're going to trust everyone to submit exactly what they ordered. We can tell to a certain extent what people ordered from the actual price that they paid, so we're hoping that everything will line up, and if there's any challenges we'll go back on an individual basis on that point. Also, if caught lying, blacklist. Yes, so, well, it goes without saying that if anyone gets caught claiming that they bought something they didn't, when the prices don't match up or we don't have the parts or anything and we know that they are completely lying, then, yeah, obviously it goes without saying that they'll be blacklisted from mine and UPass's buy lists. It'll be as simple as that. J-Creps, that's for the IDB 60, yeah. Straight Class says, did Pingu ghost or Amir Sun? We just don't know. He's just disappeared. He disappeared first week in August. He's not been seen since. He's not responded to any messages from email. In fact, his email is now defunct. It's been closed. I think his domain name expired and it wasn't renewed. So his email doesn't work. No one answers on his mobile phone. There is no response on any of his gaming platforms. There is no response via registered letter to his address. In fact, it gets returned because he doesn't pick it up. There is no response from postage of keyboards. I sent him a keyboard, one of his old prototypes. That got returned to me. He didn't even attempt to collect it. The police won't tell us anything because of GDPR regulations. Neighbours saw him recently when Darth went there in late August, but they couldn't put a date on it, so that might have even been before we last saw him. We just don't know where he is. He's paid the manufacturer and just disappeared. He hasn't run off with money because the only money that was left is shipping money, which in the grand scheme of things is small fry compared to the actual cost of the boards. So we don't think he's legged it for the money. It very much seems a case of something's happened in his life and he's just not able to get online, whatever that might mean. Braze, I just covered what was up with Pingu. Is IDB 60 as crazy as people make it out to be? Does it flex that much more than a standard guest board? Yes. Oh yes, it does. If you, a shame I don't have it here, but if you go and look back on some of the old streams, I actually showed Satanicist on stream. The flex is unreal. Does it have a thin PCB? It has a 1.2mm PCB in the prototype and 1.5mm in the actual production. So yeah. Oh, 1.6 might be. Why aren't the final boards 1.2? The final boards aren't 1.2 because the flex was deemed as potentially too risky to components over a long period of time. If he wasn't alive, he wouldn't have privacy rights. So the GDPR is kind of weird on that respect because you've got rights up until the minute that your ashes or body has been interred or cremated or buried, and until that point the police won't tell you anything, so you have rights until then. It's not when you die, it's actually when your ashes are interred for certain things such as this, but even so the police still won't tell you anything after that point because they want to keep their records private and they'll still only tell family. You don't have a right to know something just because that person doesn't exist anymore. Dixie, yeah, I'll confirm it's more than 50 boards. It is more than 50 boards. I'm not going to give any exact numbers because I know exactly how many orders Pingu sold and I know how many orders of boards I've got coming, and that's going to be one of my validation checks about how many people I get approach me, so I'm not going to share any more than that, but it is more than 50. Okay, Tygord says, good afternoon, Top Clack mods and chat. Good afternoon, good sir. Thank you very much for joining. it all depends on who you're asking about the information. To be fair, legally they can give it out, but most organisations won't give out information to third parties unless they have consent. Yeah, and that consent's part of it. So because Pingu's never been given or never given any consent, we don't know if they've asked him for consent and he's just said no, or whether they're just assuming and saying no. We just don't know because they won't tell us, which makes sense. Thanks, Jay and UPass, for everything. Yeah, thank you, UPass, more than me. He's doing the big work with sharing his profits. So everyone that says that, thank you guys. This is heartwarming that you guys do that, although I feel bad for people who won't get the best quality because he's missing. It's sad, but it's one of those things. We're just going to have to face into it and go with what we can. Even the boards that UPass got weren't always of the best quality. What was sold as A stock would have been B stock in, for example, his Chimera group buy that's upcoming, or for example my JO2 group buy that's upcoming. What was accepted as A stock for that wouldn't be for those group buys, but it was just part of that position that we're in, I'm afraid. PCB and tops were same cost. Yeah, we can work it out though. If someone claims they had 3 tops and the numbers don't stack up, we can work it out. If someone claims they got 2 PCBs and we've got a spare top at the end and with one shot PCB, we know how that works, so we'll be able to work it out, we think. Drink. Here says essentially you can link the invoice. It's public. Yes, you can. Yeah. Do we know if it's okay? At least we don't even know that. No. Hi Bard, thank you very much for joining. We don't know what happened to him as yet. Fizkey, thank you very much for joining, my dude. I was going to reach out to you actually, something on the other day that jumped into my head about physics, but I might reach out to you later on. But 26-month streak, thank you very much, dude. Appreciate that. That's a huge streak, huge streak. Okay, Crazy Flex Uniform 2 says 159. Yeah, the board is very, very flexy. Frodonics here as well. It says hi. Satanicus says amazing board. It is really good, is the IDB. Anyone else trying to cop GMK Nord? Yes, me. I even gave some feedback because I got one of the keys wrong in the IC. Okay, had to resolder the USB port on due to the flex. Yeah, so the 1.2mm PCB was way too flexible, so they brought the 1.6mm PCB in, which still is incredibly flexible, but gives it a little more rigidity, and hopefully it's not going to be easy to damage. Rope, yeah, 1.2mm damaged. Yeah, it's just a little bit stronger, but still very flexible. Certainly hope Pingu is okay. He's one of the few people who I met when I first joined the community. I've been using mechs for a while before. Yeah, he was a really nice guy, and he was so helpful and open and chatty. Of course, he did the keycaprenders.com and all of that other stuff. So yeah. Seems a little concerning. It is a little concerning, but I'm more worried about his health than the group buy. We can make the group buy, we can make the group buy work. It might not be as good as everyone was hoping it would be, but obviously that's not a reflection on UPass or I. That's just a reflection on the situation. And it's not a reflection on Pingu either. I'm sure if he was around, things would be different and better. It's just the situation we're in, and we're going to make the most of it. And I hope everyone's on board to try and make the best of this situation together. Okay, always down to talk. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll reach out. It was something. It's boring for the stream. I'll talk about it later on. See the new Nord assembly kit? Yeah, I'm not sure on the Nord assembly kit. Don't think it works for me, but I wouldn't buy an assembly kit anyway, so there we go. Okay, cool. So I think we've caught up with that. That is the IDB situation. I have got a text post that I'll put up later on. I don't think there was anything that's come up in chat that I haven't talked about already today, so I think I've been quite comprehensive if I haven't been concise as I should have been. 35 minutes in, 30 minutes to talk about this, it's probably a long time. So I do apologise if you guys are joining to see the build of this wonderful keyboard, which we'll get onto in a minute. As I said right at the top of the screen, we are going to do the build. If you've got any more questions for the IDB, just DM me on Discord. Don't send me screenshots of proofs of purchase or anything like that. Wait for that, because we're going to do it all via an email address, and I will put an update into the server, the IDB server, in the next, later on today, straight after the stream probably. If not, then it'll be first thing tomorrow morning. It's quite a long text post, so it's going to take me a couple of posts to do it, and I'm going to have to get it pinned, or I might have it as a link to somewhere and do it that way. So I haven't worked out exactly how I'm going to do it yet, but I will sort it out. And yeah, just follow the instructions in that. Wait until UPass and I confirm an email address for you to send your proofs to, and the process to get the proofs that we need, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so that's the IDB done. Talked about enough today. If you've got any questions, DM me. Don't send me proofs. Wait for the email address, and I'll put the updates up tomorrow. Okay, cool. Okay, right, so the first thing that we're going to do then is we are going to build the matrix board. So I'll show you that in a second, because I'm really excited by this. It's not something that I personally want to own, but I think Pace is watching whose board this is. It's not my board, it's for someone else, but the board itself is really cool, the way it works is really cool, the way it's put together is really cool, and I'm really excited to show you guys that. Okay, Langlandia says, I love you. Oh, thanks very much. Metropolis, yeah, the whole Metropolis setup. I need some Metropolis Artisans. Is there a Metropolis Keypora that I don't have? I need to have a look. Okay, finally, yeah, so we are going to move on to the build. So in terms of the board, we are building a Matrix 1.2 today, the OG version, which Pace bought quite recently, had it shipped to him. He's lubed all the switches himself and he sent it off to me and asked me to build it, which is what we're going to do today. Once we've built it, I'm then going to do a J-score. So if you guys have ever seen a Doug DeMuro, I am copying his process, what he does at the end, but it's giving it a keyboard twist. So I'm going to share with you guys something that I created in about 2 minutes right at the end of the stream, which is basically how we're going to score this board, and you're going to help me score it. So I'm going to come up with what I think is the right answer. You guys are going to come up with what you think is the right answer, and every board that we have in there, we're going to have 2 rows on the spreadsheet. We're going to have the J score and we're going to have the chat score. So whatever the consensus is in chat for each one, we're going to put that into there as well. I'll make it publicly available in the next couple of weeks, and every time we build a board, we're going to put it on there and do a J score, unless you guys tell me that it's crap and you don't like it, and then we won't. Okay. Correction what it is, well, I've come up with some columns already, but if you guys have got any better ideas, we'll put some of those else. But yes, all of that kind of stuff. Nitpick says, yeah, I don't know much about assembly kit, so I thought it looked okay, but turns out it's missing all 1.25U keys. Exactly, yes. Chat and consensus, big word. Well, yeah, I'm just going to go from there, so we'll see. Personally, Mr. Petrov, on the blacks, it depends on... So for me, the only time that you need to do a filming with switches is when you separate the switches apart and use your switch opener, and when they go back together a little bit loose, that's when I use films. If they're still nice and tight, I don't use films. So that's the only thing I would do. 0 or 10, 0 or 10. Well, it'll be between 1 and 10. We'll come back onto the score at the end. Anyway, let me show you this board, because the first thing I want to show you is the packaging, because these boards come in some crazy cool packaging. So look at this. So you get a metal badge that's riveted onto the case right here in this bottom corner. It tells you the model number. It's got a holographic sticker on there. If I tilt it, you can see it's holographic. It's got the model of the board, Matrix Lab at the top. It's just really cool, right? How cool is that? Really nice. On the back as well, it's also got the Matrix Lab in red, and this is just a paper cover, a paper slip that goes on the top. Nothing on the bottom or the other side. Just nice and simple. So we're going to slide that off. And then inside we've got a box. Now this is a faux leather type material. I don't know if you can see it. It's not real leather obviously, but it's a faux leather type material. Probably some sort of PVC cover. And this is actually riveted on. It's actually got rivets that are holding this on. So boxing experience, pretty good so far, right? That's lovely. It's really nice, right, to open something like this much higher than a 60. Will you guys think about perfect scores later on, and what you think we'll put in there, because unboxing is one of the scores. Okay. Opening the box up, and that's just as it is. It's got some nice padding in the corner. You'll see why in a second, and we'll go from there. Oh, in fact, actually, I'll tell you why the padding's there. The padding's there just to protect the board from the rivets. So the rivets come through, padding's just there, it protects the board from the rivets now. So there we go. Inside we've got a few different things. We've got a bag with a PCB in. Now this is all brand new, it has been opened once, it's never been sold, never been used, never been built. And in here you've got a piece of foam, which I'm going to put there and just hide the board for a second. You've got a PCB. And you've also got a bag of goodies. So we'll look at the bag of goodies in just 1 second. In terms of the PCB, it's standard matrix fare. It's an unusual shade of green, but it's really nice. It's dead simple. Works and looks exactly as it should. Fixed layout. The only choice you've got if you want to change anything on this board is if you want stepped caps or not. As far as I'm aware, there is no other choice in terms of your switch positions. Everything else is fixed. This board will be built ANSI. I do need to just double check and see what Pace wanted, whether he wanted full caps or not, so I'll just double check that in a minute. I think he said stepped. There's only one option for the bottom row as well. There's no other choice. You've got what you've got, and that's it. USB at the top is USB mini. You can't see it, I'll show you when we open it. This is sealed at the minute, so I haven't taken it out as yet, guys. Flipping over into the other side, you'll notice that there's an extra large hole here, an extra large hole here, and another one just here as well. So we'll talk about why that might be in a couple of minutes. But everything else is on the board as normal. All the controllers are in this area. Nice and simple. Fixed layouts, good idea. I like it. Even if the layout's not for me, I like fixed layouts. Okay. Looks like expensive packaging. It is, yeah. It must be really expensive to do this. We'll see. Faux leather boxes don't impress me. Nice PCB. This is nice. Yeah, exactly. So Tenstrong says, we'll see, and then his next comment, this is nice. Yeah, exactly, right? PCB looks almost vintage. Yeah, it looks great, right? It looks fantastic. Nice, simple, clean lines. You know, looks good. Looks really good. Okay. PCB reminds me of a Topa board. Yeah, they do look a bit like the Topa ones. Yeah. Step caps, man. Pace. Yeah, perfect. Right answer. I was going to do it that way anyway if I'd forgotten. I'm super interested also how the half plate works with this Matrix Element and Taobao. I don't think this has got a half plate with it. In terms of the rest, what I'm going to show you here is there's all sorts of bits and pieces. We've got a JST connector. This isn't for the USB port. As you've already seen, the USBs on the back of it. This is actually for the LED part of the board, which we'll talk about shortly. So we need to solder all this together. We've got some transfers as well. Now, in terms of the transfers, as far as I'm aware, one of them's for the PCB. I can't pick these up now. One of them's for the PCB, and the other one is for the what we call it area. But we'll have a look at that in a second. So those are there. We've also got screws, hardware, bolts, and some special washers, which we'll look at close detail when we start to look at the rest of it. We've got a nice piece of foam and some bump-ons in there as well. So this piece of foam goes round this next piece that we're going to look at, and then the bump-ons are for the base of the board. Got a nice piece of diffuser, just some acrylic. It's kind of roughly cut actually. This is probably the lowest quality piece in the board. It's kind of roughly cut. It has got a cover on it, so we'll peel that off before we put it in. But we'll take a look at that and see if we can tidy it up a little bit. And then finally we've got the LED kind of board. So if you guys can see here, I'll hold it up. There's kind of like a row of LEDs that you can program on here and all the right controllers and everything else. So yeah, looking forward to getting that into the board and seeing what it does. Okay, so now for the pièce de résistance. Let's catch up with chat and then we'll open the board itself. They're not only fixed, they're not programmable either. But if it's really fixed, you don't need it to be programmable. I think... No, I disagree. It still needs to be programmable. But yeah, it's one of those things. Cracking it open with a nice sealed and branded bag on the PCB is a good look. Yeah, I didn't say that, but yeah, the PCB bag is branded. Hold it up the right way. So Matrix Labs since 2015. It's all nicely branded. Looks the part. Top quality work. Cracking it open with a nice... Yeah, it talks about that. TKL, how much programmable do you really need? That's kind of the joke I was making, but it would be nice to have layers and things like that as well. I love how you read pretty much all the comments. I try to, my man. You guys are why I'm here. This is what I like to do. My favourite part of doing these build streams is interacting with you guys. It'd be really bad of me to not read the chat. And it's not like I get 5,000 viewers like Nathan Kim does, so I can keep up with it a little bit more than other streams can. Okay. Label says, I'm mildly regretting hand wiring my board right now. Cutting and stripping the wire for the column is killing me. No, keep on with the hand wire, man. They're always good to see. The LED board is really cool, yeah. So, Tenstrong, you've changed your mind now, right? Okay, you said, we'll see, and then now you're changing your mind. Salvin's here as well. Salvin CNC. Good evening, good sir. Glad to see you, dude. Okay. So, without much further ado, let's take a look at the board. Okay, so you can't see much here, but still nice branded on the bag. Thick foam all in the case, so as you can see, lots of work in the case here. It's a nice thick padded foam. Shouldn't be any damage in there. Nice and sturdy box as well. Put that to one side. So here we have the board. This has been opened. I haven't taken it out of the packaging yet. This is the first time I've taken it out of the packaging, so I'm seeing it with you guys for the first time. Okay. There is the board. So black, you can see here, this is where the LEDs line up, the diffuser layer. You can also see there's a plastic acrylic layer inside. Universal plate, which is interesting because the PCB is not universal, so I'm not sure why the plate is, but hey, the plate works. I think that's aluminium looking at it. Pace, if I'm wrong and that's not aluminium, let me know. It feels like aluminium looking at it from here. Wing keyless, which is great. Love a wing keyless board. From the top, it looks just like a TKL. Looks good. You know, nothing untoward. looking pretty interesting. Take a look at the side profile. The first thing I notice is it's got a nice little step here that you can put your fingers in to lift the board up. Really, really nice like that. Thin seam on here. That's quite a good seam. That's a really solid seam. You can barely see it. The camera's picking it up more than you can see it in real life. Anodization between the two is really, really good as well. Taking a look at the back, you can see the edge of the weight, which we'll take a look at in a second. And you can also see the part here as well. USB port just there. Nice and steady way. Looking at the other side, very much the same, just cold metal, warm hands, fingerprints. Taking a look at the base, the front, sorry, still see that seam's really tight. Really impressed with the seams. Okay, looking at the base, we can see that we've got the Matrix Lab logo embedded on this here. These aren't all my fingerprints, some of these are already on here. A couple of them might be mine. Again, the little thing here, it says original right around the edge, which is nice. And then we've also got the brass block just there as well. So all looking really, really good. I think it looks great. Very nice seam. Yep. Anyone else get the half plate for this board? Yeah, it's Alu. Okay, cool. Yeah, the dark grey color. It's pretty much black in real life. The camera's really, I've got some really bright lights on here to help with the stream. So it might look grey, but it is black. I hope that comes across. There we go. Quiddenker says normally it's the other way around between PCB and plate. Yeah, nice seams, really nice seams. Don't have the half plate, but I might have to grab one. If you do, I'd love to rebuild this for you because I really like this already. Fixed PCB layout, but the plate doesn't have fixed ansi or wing keyless. LOL. Exactly. So I did comment on that before. It is a universal plate. It's an interesting choice as to why they do that. Okay, I'm not Matrix. Don't know why they've done that, but there we go. Thoughts on Metropolis? Love it. That's why I've got the key set and the desk pad. Looks great. I do want a Kipora for it. If someone knows of a Metropolis Kipora, let me know because I'm going to go hunt it down if there is one. Fewer SKUs, yeah, but it's just one. It's just one thing, isn't it? So you know, for the whole board, if you're only selling one type of PCB, just have one, you know, plate. Okay, so we're going to take this apart. I'm just going to work out which size hex driver I need. As you can see, fully prepared this week. Already tested all this out. I think it's that size. Yeah, perfect. I'm going to take this apart. Okay, silly question, but even if it's not programmable, could you use auto hotkey to effectively reprogram a key to something else? Yes, you can. That shouldn't be a problem. Straight classy, I want this. I don't even particularly like the stylings on this board, but I think it's done so well that I actually want one. Oh, the other thing as well I didn't mention, but it's got this nice inlaid text here as well. Let me show you that real quick. How nice is that, guys? Inlaid text, infilled, just nice and tidy there. Looks great. Really, really big fan. Jay isn't giving this one back after build it. It might get lost in the post, I have to be honest, yeah. Dark Heaven Light saying, do you know any good places to get a plate cut? Depends on what material you want, my dude. If you want metals and you're in the EU, laser boost. If you want carbon fibre in the EU, send me a plate file, and I'm going to run another group buy in January for carbon fibre plates. Anything else, tell us what you want, dude. J Skull would be my precious out of 10. Well, the other thing I was considering is giving it a quote as well, giving each board a quote at the end. So giving it a score out of 10 and giving it a quote, you know, like, I don't know. I can't think of anything right now, but the TKL the Vern could have been, or something like that, you know, I don't know. Something really, a hot take. I was thinking of adding something like that as a final column, and then of course linking to the streams and stuff like that. Will you make a carbon fibre plate for the Equinox? So the way my carbon fibre group buys run is a little bit different to other plate group buys. Basically what I do is I say, if you can bring me a plate file and Satanicist can edit it, then I will order it as part of the group buy. There's no MOQs for any particular size or plate or anything else. It's just a case of making sure that I've got them all. We've got all of them. Just making sure they're all out before I tip the board over. Yep, so we're all looking good. Okay. So in terms of the board, it is top mount, as you can see. All nice and even top mount, so it's looking good from that perspective. Should be nice and easy to build from there. We'll take the plate out in just 1 second. Note that they are posi drive screws on these. These are Phillips or posi drive. I'm not sure which they are. I'll check in a second. Whereas the outside of the case is Torx, hex. So interesting design choice there. The next thing I want to notice as well is, oh, I thought this was acrylic, but this is actually an inlaid layer of rubber matting. How nice is that? That's really cool. So if you want to put this in to help the sound or you don't, it's entirely your choice. That's really cool. I like that a lot. Okay, and then here you can see this is where all the connectors are for the parts on the outside of the board. The plastic connector sits here. I'm not actually sure what that's for. I think it's just a plastic affectation. I think it's just a nice to have, but it's interesting. I don't know why it's there. I don't think there's any rhyme or reason for it, but it's kind of cool. I like it. Okay, so I'm going to put the base to one side, and then we're going to start to look at the rest of the board. I'll just be gentle and pop that down. Next thing to do is take the plate out of the case. So I'm just going to get a Phillips screwdriver first. I do have one somewhere. Looks like the nav cluster. Yeah, maybe. We'll have a look at it in a second. Well, the plastic bit's at the back. So on there it's at the back. In terms of the LED board, that does sit above the nav cluster. Yeah, well, I'll show you that in a second. And in terms of the actual plastic piece, that's where it goes. It goes in here. The diffuser plastic goes in there, and we'll look at that in a second as well, because that's going to be one of the first things that we do. Now, Pace, what I won't do is I'm probably not going to install the stickers for you. I will let you install those yourself directly, the ones that are supposed to go on the diffuser. So it will be easy enough for you to remove and to add back in. Impressive cutouts on the plate. Yeah, we'll have a look at that in a second once I've got the plate out. There we go. Okay. In terms of the plate, you can see that it does have a number of cutouts across underneath all of the F-row, some large cuts in between the F-rows, wherever there's a blocker apart from the wing keyless blockers. As someone else said, this plate must be used for some other sorts of files and some other cases as well. Wherever there's a thick piece of metal, there's kind of tried to put a blocker in. There's no sound cutouts between the keys apart from here. That's the only one, which I think is in case, well, it's for the caps lock, so I assume that's to make the sound better. Only one set of stab cutouts here and then around the switches, but they are nice stabilizer cutouts. Arrow cluster here with an extra key there. I think it's just to reduce weight and to take away the plate, and again all cut out just there as well. It does look really interesting. It's a pretty much a lightweight plate, trying to make the most of it, so interesting to see. In terms of the top case, you can see here this is where the LED diffuser goes, so I'm going to pop that in first. That's going to be the first thing that we're going to do, and then we'll carry on with the build from there. So I'm just going to take this now. One side is in significantly better condition than the other. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up on stream. This side is kind of rough. I'm going to see if it's got a plastic cover on. I think it might do. If it does, it might be smoother afterwards. Yeah, okay, so there's a plastic cover on there. Okay, let's see if there's one on the other side. There is. We just need to get it off. Okay, there we go. So instantly already looking a lot smoother, a lot more high quality in terms of the edges of the part. No clear directional orientation, so I'm just going to go ahead and fit that in place. Okay, interesting, that's quite loose. So what I would say, Pace, is I'm not going to do that here and now, but if that does become a problem, it does drop back or becomes an issue, I'd probably consider gluing that in place. I was hoping it'd be pressure fit. Doesn't seem to be that, so I would recommend just putting a dab of PVA glue around the edges and seating it in place with those. I'll let you make that choice. Is my mic really low and muffled? It shouldn't be. It's hitting the red whenever I talk. So yeah, it's not. I'm not quite sure it's white like that. IDB news done. Yes, so I'm just going to catch up with chat now for a minute. Do you know the good place we talked about the plates? Nice. I would like to get in on that. Is a carbon fiber group buy in January? He said yes. It'll be early January when I launch that. Yeah. Just watch out. You can join in the Top Clack Discord or my personal Discord, and that'll be up there when we do it. Definitely will need to be keeping an eye out for that, as I want a carbon fibre plate for my iron in the future. Okay, yeah, so I will be making sure that we do ones for the iron if people want them. I've got some test plates for the iron coming, so I'm going to have one for my own iron, and then we're going to send some off to Vox Kim Baron for the Iron 165 as well. Helios versus Telos versus Silent Inks. Bang for buck, Silent Inks. If you want in a silent switch, Helios versus Silent Inks, well, the better ones are the Helios. They are slightly nicer, but the difference is so minimal. I think that the Inks are a better price. Telios, well, they're just standard linear, so I would say they're probably the smoothest linear stock on the market right now. So, you know, take your pick, take your devils, take your choice. Plate looks clean as heck. It's a Swiss cheese plate, but it's going to do the job just fine. And as long if it was fixed to the actual locations of where you can put things on the PCB, and it had the rest of the cuts, I think it would be great. Pace says, "Cool, thanks, man. Yeah, I'll let you decide whether you glue that in or not. It is just a little bit close for it. Mic sounds fine. Don't have an issue with the levels. That is a good-looking case, though. It's a really good-looking case, Alvin. Yeah." Dut says, Jay, where did you say we could buy the coloured stabs in the EU? So the coloured stabs that we had up, that everyone was looking for, the POM ones a couple of days ago by Equals and C3, they're going to be on mykeyboard.eu in the near future. I've got some coming, so as soon as I've got some, I'll try a build with them. We'll see how they go. The EPBT stabs, they're only available on Tau at the minute. I have got some of those as well. I'm not using them today, sadly, but I have got some, and I should be using those next week. No need to glue it in. Yeah, if it falls backwards, it's got a problem. It's rattly. Sorry, Everglide, yes. EBBT Everglide ones, yes. Sorry. There we go. Cool. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is, I'm just going to leave that there for now. We'll just pop this to the side, and it's time to start looking at how we do the stabilizers for the PCB. So we'll open up the PCB first and take a look at that in a little bit more detail. Before we do the stabilizers, actually, we are going to fit the other board, so I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Grab some scissors. Okay. Helpful if these would actually cut. There we go. So, as I said before, the first thing we do need to do is to look at the part of the PCB where the LED display port is going to go. So that's on here. So just turning the PCB over. Something did feel a little bit loose when I picked it up a second ago. I'm just going to check and see if I can find out what that was. My finger rested on something, it just felt a little bit loose. Perhaps I was mistaken. Perhaps I was mistaken. Okay, I can't find it now, but something did feel just a little bit loose as I was moving around. It felt really loose, actually. Okay, I can't see anything missing, so I'm going to assume that that was just all in my head. There's no switches or anything, so interesting. Okay, so I'm sure we'll be fine anyway. So the first thing we're going to do is look at where this LED port goes, and it bolts into these two parts here. You've got a cable that goes through the board here, and then it comes out onto here, and you can see it, the actual board sits there, just there. So we're definitely going to have a look at that. Junkie Render says, I've got some Everglides, they're the same as ZLV1 are just different. They're not the same as ZLV1s, they're very similar. They're much closer to EPBT stabs, which were around about a year ago. Did you get GMK Lime? Not a lot of buzz about it. I really liked it. I didn't know. Wasn't for me. Wasn't for me. So yeah, they're slightly different. Both model left vintage cherry stabs, but not 100% identical. Yeah, not that upper connector. I don't know what it was when I picked it up. It doesn't feel like the connectors. I can't see anything else. Definitely felt something move. I can't find it now. Whatever it was. Either way, interestingly, you'll notice that the parts are on the PCB just here, and then when we put it through, the parts are going to sit just up here, so they're not going to cover each other, but they are above each other. So I'm wondering if the heat's going to be an issue. With that. I'm just wondering where it was now that I picked it up and felt that. Interesting. I think it must have just been in my head, guys. Nothing else feels loose on the board. I think it's okay. So I'm just going to put the plate to one side, and then we'll take a look at how we put all of this together. Again, just need the scissors to open this. Proof that my scissors aren't terrible. I'm going to cut that just fine. So taking a look at this this board, this is the board as you can see here with all of the LEDs on this row just there, all of the controllers and everything else needed just here. So that just sits on the board, and effectively it will go just like that, just there. That's where it's going to sit once we've put it together. The first thing we need to do though is to solder on the 3 cables. So we've got 3 cables. This needs to be soldered into this board, and then it needs to be fed through that hole. So in terms of that, you can see that we can just feed that through, so we can do this completely separately. We don't need to do it as part of the PCB. I'm just going to check from the wiring diagram which way around it needs to be. Okay, so when you're looking at it like this, you've got to go yellow, black, red. So that's nice and easy. So yellow, black, and then red, and it goes into these 3 ports here. So yellow, black, red, just into these 3 ports here. Yellow starting at this side, red in the middle, and black at this side. So nice and easy to do. So we're going to do that. We're going to flip it over. We're going to push the cables in, and then we're going to solder them in place. So to do that, I'm just going to grab my soldering iron and solder. So this is a little bit more involved than a lot of builds that we do on Top Clack, so it's nice to be doing something a little bit more fun. Yugo was instant buy for me. Love that base kit. Yeah, I'm a really big fan of Yugo. It's really, really nice. USB port loose. No, it doesn't feel like the USB port. It was definitely on the underside because it was on my little finger when I picked it up, so it was somewhere underneath the board. But it just felt really loose when I grabbed hold of it. It could have just been a figment of my imagination, folks. I can't find anything that feels loose that needs touching up. Luckily, it was definitely on the underside, so yeah, everything feels good. Okay, so we're going to put that bit aside and we're going to solder these in first and foremost. So as I said before, what we're going to do is we're going to feed them through from this side and we're going to solder them on this side. So as we said, the first one to go through is the yellow cable. So we're going to put that into position and then we're going to gently solder that once it's there. So we're going to pop that through, pin it down, and then we're just going to add a dash of solder just to make sure that that is all nice and snug and connected. And then we're just going to make sure that that is nice and firm. It is. Then we've got the black one which goes in the middle. So we're just going to put that into position. This is very, very fiddly. And we're just going to give that a dab of solder as well. Nicely done. And then we're just going to pop the red one in as well. And give this a dab of solder too. There we go. And there you go, guys. You can see that all 3 wires are now nice and neatly soldered into place. And those are in the right order. Just 3 tiny little dots of solder. There's no bridging there. There's no crossing over. Those should be all nice and fine. Everything's looking good there. Okay. Pop that to one side. Turn off the soldering iron for a few minutes. We'll come back to that shortly when we're soldering the switches. The next thing we're going to do is take a look at how this fits to the board. Lots of bits to open here, so I'm just going to open this as well. So there's a couple of bits in here. The first thing that's in here is some spare bump-ons. I don't think we need those for this bit of the build. And the next thing we've got is a little bit of a protector, and that's designed to go between this and the PCB, so it goes over this side and it fits into place just like so. And it actually sticks down to the PCB, so we're going to put that onto the PCB as part of putting it onto here. And then in terms of the rest of it, we've got some fixtures and fittings, so we'll open these two. Let's get rid of all of this rubbish. Come back to the stickers at the end of the stream. And then we'll also have to solder this to the board as well, which goes onto the main PCB, which is just the JST connector, which enables us to connect the ports. Okay, so as we know, this sits on the top side of the PCB, we need to feed the cable through. So we're going to do that just now. We're going to feed the cable through first, and then we'll see about how the rest of it fits together. So in terms of these washers and fastenings, effectively what we have these washers that are kind of shaped. So one side goes into the PCB, they've got a step in them. I don't know if that's going to focus enough for you to be able to see. It's kind of got a step in it. So it'll clip into one side and then the screw will go all the way through. Now as far as I can tell, they'll only go in one way, so they'll only go into there like so, and there like so as well. I'm just going to line this up in a second. Okay. So we've got that in position. The next thing we need to do is to just make sure that we put this in the right place. So this looks like it stands on top of the two connectors that we just, the two washers that we just put in place. So I'm just going to pop this in place as well. And again, the pictures that I've got to go on for this aren't amazing, I'll be honest. In fact, I think that's meant to go down first. So I'm going to put this on first, and then I'm going to put the washers in. Okay. And we'll see if that goes too high when we come around to it. And that's basically designed to give it a little bit of standoff from the PCB to make sure that it is in the right position. And then we've got a couple of these screws that are going to go in and hold that in place. Those ones? No, must be these ones. Yeah. Okay. In fact, I think I'm doing this slightly wrong. Let me have a look. Okay, yeah, I am doing this slightly wrong. I am doing it slightly wrong. Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it? I've got it now. I've got it now. Okay, so this sticks on top of here, protects it against the case. There we go. Tell this is my first time building one of these guys. Okay. And now those sit in here like so. And then what we need to do is screw this down, which we can do quite easily. Where'd the screwdriver go? Standalone unit. Nathan Alphaman, thank you very much for the 330 bits. Best way to spend my free hour on my birthday. Happy birthday, man. Happy birthday. I'm really glad you're here on your birthday, dude. Should I send him something for a birthday? Should I send him some Top Clack stickers? Maybe I should. Okay, and then we're just going to screw the second one in just there. Okay, so that's them two screwed in. That then sits into the plate like so. And then what we need to work out is how it then stays in place, because that's not immediately clear how these are supposed to fasten in place. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any fixing mechanism. Have a look at the pictures. Interesting. Interesting. Just saw the JO1 at the NorCal. Nathan took a video of me with my ear next to it and grin. Oh, there you go, man. Thanks very much. Would through washers go through the other way? Otherwise, the panel is not attached to the PCB. Well, I'm trying to work out how that goes, to be honest. I've got a couple of reference pictures, but the reference pictures are not doing this justice at all, if I'm honest. And obviously, this isn't clear to an idiot like myself. So I'm just going to take these off and see if we can work out how they're supposed to go. I think you may be right, Anarchy. I think they're supposed to sit underneath. Although in the images that I've been sent, they're actually in between the two. But I think what you're saying is that they actually go like so, and you would screw into them from there. But if that's the case, unless there's supposed to be two. But I don't think the screw's long enough to attach two to each other. So that's really, really interesting. In other words, I haven't worked it out yet. Okay. None of the other screws fit, so I can only assume that these are intended to go like so, around the PCB and sit through the PCB. Scuff stream, guys. Let's go watch Asmon Gold. Yeah, go watch him. Go watch him. See what he's complaining about today, because he's always got something to complain about, as that guy. Okay, let's try that. Let's try and get them lined up that way around. I think maybe. Yeah, it's not gonna fit together that way. I'm assuming they're gonna have to screw in from the bottom up. It's the only way it's gonna work. We'll see how it goes, and we can always adjust this afterwards because it's behind the plate anyway, so it's not going to be covered by the plate, so we can always come back to this part of the stream if this doesn't work with the end of it. It's a shame there's no instructions with this, because idiots like myself need them. Okay, let's just screw this into place now. And as Anarchy says, that's going to hold it nice and tightly in place. The issue here is that whilst it's holding it nice and tightly in place, it's potentially not going to keep enough separation between the boards and complete its intended purpose. So we shall see how it goes. Okay, so that's that screwed in anyway. We can come back to that and see if we need to change it, tweak it, or do anything different. Let's move those to one side because we shouldn't need them now. Okay. Next job is to solder on the JST connector. So that's going to go into the PCB. That goes into the PCB just here, but it goes on the other side, like so. So we're going to solder that into position there. And then when the cable comes round, it will plug in just like so. And then that will line up exactly right, I think. Let me just double check. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the cables come round and then it lines up into there. You can loop it over the top, loop it round, however you need to. That's going to come through and go into there. Okay, so we just need to solder this in place now. So the aim here is to try and get this nice and neat and straight and tidy. Okay. Then we can carry on with the build. Think you have to chop the sides off the LED PCB? Yeah, I'm potentially going to just snap that off. Yeah, I can use flip cushers. Yeah, that's fine. Flip washers nuts to backside of the PCB. I've done that, but it feels like it's too close. Like, so all of the pictures that I've got of this, and I've only got a few, they show a gap between the this miniature PCB and this main PCB, and it looks like the washers are supposed to sit in that gap, but there's no way to actually attach them and do that. So I'm not quite sure why it's that way, but it is. There's no way to get two screws in to hold them all together either, unless there is. Unless two screws works. Let's try that really quickly. Let's try two screws, one from each side, and see if that fits. Because if it does, that gives me the answer on how to do it. Okay. Okay, then let me see if that will screw in from the other side. And see if this will hold it all together. So what I'm going to do now is screw that in from here and see if this will actually go all the way through and screw into the other one in a second. Because if it does, that will tell me how it fits together. Yeah, so that's not going to screw from one into the other. Feels like the screws aren't quite long enough to do that. TS100 is my soldering iron. Yeah, I'll snap that off towards the end, matter that, yeah. I'm just trying to work out why this doesn't sit away from the board. I'm looking at the build, and it's definitely sat above. Why? I don't know. We'll come back to it. We'll look at it later on, and we'll work it out. We can always get this bit sorted after the stream anyway, because you can easily access this part. So I don't want to waste too much time on it. I can always make sure that it's right before I ship it back to Pace. So I'm just going to screw this back in, have it flush with the PCB, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Paying close attention to this, because if Jay can't work out a spaz like this, has no chance. Well, if I work it out, Mr. Petrov, I will take a picture of it so you can see. There we go, it's all nice and in place. Yeah, we just need to snap that off. It just comes off dead easy. No worries on that perspective. Thank you, Matalek, for pointing that out. Okay. So that's now set against the PCB anyway. We can definitely take a look at how that is and come back to it later on. So the next thing we need to do, as I said, is we need to solder the JST port. Now again, that goes on the top side of the board, so that goes on this side, so it goes on the inside of the board where the switches connect, because it goes on the same side as the USB points up. So we're going to solder that into place now as well. Just going to line it up with the PCB. Okay, and we're just going to solder that into position. Will I be joining GMK Tipidus? I haven't seen GMK Tipidus. I'm not sure what that is. Okay. There we go, that's the JST connector soldered on. And then that gives us the option to now plug all that in together. Okay, there we go. So that's all now plugged in. Let's just test it, see if that actually does anything. I'm not sure if that will work yet or not. I'm not sure if the board needs to be programmed or if you need to press any certain keys to test it. We may have to wait until we've got keycaps on to be able to test it, if it needs a certain key combination pressing, but we'll see if it just works as it is. Oh, there we go, you can see. So we've definitely soldered that right. That's all now working as it should. Just need to work out how it mounts to the board, which we can sort out later on. The main thing is that we're all now nice and connected. Jay, we're going to try and join GMK Matrix. Yes, I do want that. Yes. So there we go. What push pull is that? It's some cheap Lemo knockoff. It's not an actual Lemo. It was made for a friend of mine called Max, and it was very cheap. It was a $8 connector or something. So there we go. So that's all that part done. So that was the hard part done. We can now worry about how we're going to build the rest of the board, and we can come back to how we rectify the position of this off of the PCB later on. Again, I'll work it out. I'm not quite sure from the pictures which way around it's supposed to be. Sadly, the pictures don't allow you to zoom in, but it does appear whether there's a piece of hardware missing or I'm missing a way that the pieces of hardware go together. So we'll have a look at that later on, but either way, we've got that perspective going for us now. Next thing to do is to look at stabilizers. So these have already been clipped, I believe, but we'll take a look at them anyway. We'll clip them if we need to. And these are the switches that Pace, whose board this is, has provided with us, which are vintage blacks, which have been stickered and lubed with 205 grade 0, and he's also got Victorinox oil on the springs, which I've never tried before. So we'll see how that is when it comes to it. Okay. Stabilizer stuck in the bag. There we go. Okay, And interesting as well, he has sent me nylon screws for this. These are all nylon screws, so we're going to be very, very gentle with these when we put them in, and hopefully they will work just fine. First thing we're going to do though is make sure that they are clipped, and then we'll look at lubing them as well. So if I look at the bottom of these have already been clipped, quite nicely actually, I must say. These are nicely clipped just on the bases. If I push that through, you should be able to just see that if it focuses. There you go. So now what we're going to do is lube these. So I'm going to lube these using my new method because it works so well. I'm just going to put some into the base just here, into the base just there as well. Same on the other side, and then we're going to pop it in the board, and we'll do the rest of it from in the board. Okay, so we're going to pop these in for the right shift. And then I'm just going to see, so these are flathead screws, so these need a standard flathead screwdriver. So I'm just going to screw these in partially by hand to begin with. And then, oops, I'll grab that in a second. Screw the rest in shortly. There is a little bit of me that's worrying that they won't hold. Flat-headed screwdriver. Where are we? Here we go. I'm almost wondering, because these need to cut their own thread, I'm not quite sure if these will or won't cut their own thread. Oh, okay, so that looks like it's going in nicely. Again, I'm not going to over tighten these because they are nylon screws. I don't want to damage them. Okay, so that feels like it's in pretty solidly. Interesting. Okay. Let's go for the next one. Again, really good job on clipping these paste. They look nicely clipped. Okay. And then we're going to go in here for the backspace. We're just going to pop the first screw in. Having never used nylon screws for these, I'm a little bit unsure about them. If these don't work out pace, I would recommend changing them for metal screws if you find that they start to be an issue. My slight worry about these is I'm just compressing them into the gap. I'm not actually cutting cutting into the plastic and tapping it as it goes in. It's not a lemo, sadly. GMK Matrix run from the 9th to the 23rd this month. Nice. Knock off lemo gang. C8, that's the one. Yep, C8. That's exactly the one. Okay. We're just pushing lube into each side just there. You've installed it how it's supposed to be installed? Okay, it just doesn't look like the pictures that have been sent. So the pictures show that it's stood off the PCB by one of the standoffs. So I'm just conscious that that's not how I've done it. So bought the Victorinox oil from the Victorinox store. Nice. What lube is that? It's just dielectric grease in the tube. But yeah, I just effectively squirt it in the base, and then you'll see how I top it up in top of the stabilizer later on. To be honest, this works 99% of good at painting on with a paintbrush, but it's 10 times faster, it's 10 times easier, it's less messy, and I can't tell the difference between the stabilizers that I've done this way and the other way. The only thing to be said is that in the boards I've tested, the only boards that were more positive the other way than this way is the ones where the board has the older GMK stabilizers rather than newer ones, but on the newer ones there is no discernible difference. So I've started using this method, I've adopted it, and to be honest, it's just damn sight easier. Okay, so we've just got the ANSI enter left to go after this one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that these screws are just going in pressure fit. They're not actually cutting a tap as they go in. They're not tapping themselves, which is what the standard screws do into GMK housings. Because the housings themselves aren't threaded from the factory. Whatever new stabs GMK is coming up with have a metal insert like Everglide and Zeal stabs. Yeah, that is the one benefit that Everglide and Zeal stabs have, is the fact that they don't have self-tapping screws. They have screws that go into an actual embedded threaded slot. I'm pretty sure that I'm just pressure fitting these nylon screws, and they're not actually threading into the plastic because I don't think they're strong enough to cut it. But there we go, that's all of the stabilizers installed. We're just going to put all of these little screws away, and remind me to pick up the last one off the floor later on, and I'll send it back. Whoops. There we go. That's those now done with. So the rest of these we're just going to touch up with the lube. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to flood the front, and we're just going to press lube in there until we see it come up around the sides of the stem and fill that gap. And we're just going to do that on all of the stabs, and then we're going to do exactly the same in the back of them. Okay. So many stabs on this board. I've forgotten how many stabilizers ANSI boards use. And then we're going to lift them up, and we're just going to go into the back where the wire protrudes and just do exactly the same. And then what you find is within 10 or 15 key presses, these have all worn themselves in, the lube spread around everywhere it can go. It's touching exactly the same points as what brushed on lube would do, in pretty much the same quantities. And you've saved about 60% of the time in total. There we go. So that's now those all nicely lubed. We'll just work it around a little bit. So instantly I can tell that these are the new GMK stabs, so that's going to be an issue. But we'll be fine on that, so we don't need to clip those. We don't need the screwdriver for now. There we go. Okay, so the next job now is to take the plate, put the plate on top of the PCB, and then let's start installing some switches. I'm just going to make sure everything lines up. We've got clearance around all of our stabilizers. That all looks like it's fitting nicely and snugly. Okay, so Undercover Brother says, we talked about stabs, yeah. Got some OG Lemo, most likely FFA 3s, as it's cool cable offers it from time to time. I do have an OG Lemo cable somewhere, I don't use it very often though. Is that how you've done the stabs in the TX you sent to me then? No, because I actually did the stabs the old way. I actually brushed the stabs in the old one that I sent to you. It was before I'd adopted this method pretty much permanently. So yeah, so yours was brushed on that board. That's the way that Ski with Pete does stabs. Never seen Ski with Pete, sorry, don't know. It's what was recommended to me and seems to do a fairly decent job, cheap as well. Dielectric grease is what's gone into the stabilizers. I don't use super lube. After seeing the Viper build, I think this method might set a bad look. What Viper build was that? I've not seen a Viper build. Not for a long time. I can't remember the last time I saw someone build a Viper. Come on, 10 strong, tell me what you're talking about. Right, okay, time to get some switches in this bad boy. So, as I say, these are vintage blacks, lubed with 205 grade 0. And they've got springs. The springs are lubed with Krytox, and they've got clear films in there as well. Just hold this up to the camera, see if you can see that. So I'm not sure how well this is going to show, but there is a clear film between the two in there. Feels pretty smooth. Feels pretty good. I'm going to pop them in the plate, and then we're going to. Okay, so some of these are not closing properly in terms of the switches. So just. This is the problem with films. Sometimes the switches don't close properly, which means you can't clip them into the plate so easily. There we go. And then we're just going to see how they hold in the PCB. So they don't hold in the PCB particularly well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put a switch in each corner, and then we'll solder those into the PCB, and then we'll carry on with the rest of the build. So I'm only going to put them in where I know it's a 1U key. And then we'll put a couple in the middle as well. So I'm not going to put any switches anywhere where there's any contention in the plate, so where they need to go around a certain key or something like that. See, some of these switches, they're just not held together because they've not clipped together where the spring, where the sticker is holding them in place. So you almost have to pinch them down and then close the legs manually, which just adds another level to what you have to do to build them. See, again, that's still not quite closed properly. Which leg's causing the problem? Front leg there. And this is why I don't like stickers in my personal builds. There we go. So what we're going to do is just push these into the PCB, and then we're going to solder these in place. And then once they're soldered in place, we'll move on and start to put the rest of the switches in. So as always, whenever we've got switches like this, we're just going to push them down so they're firmly into the PCB, solder it into position. And we're just going to go around and do all of the ones that we put into the corners of the PCB here. We're using fixed positions rather than keys that have any maneuverability about them. So any key that's got a part of the universal plate, we're not using those. We're just using fixed locations and using those as datum points effectively to keep the board nice and steady and firm. Okay. Just going to put a couple in the center. Now we've done that, and then we'll go ahead and build the rest of the board. Just checking the switches, make sure they're nice and closed before I put them in. Okay, solder these two in, and then we're good to go for the rest of the switches. And what these switches effectively do that we've put in now is these will hold the PCB and the plate at the correct distance apart across the whole board, and they should mean that it's easier to put the rest of the switches in. We don't have to worry about the plate alignment being an issue, and we don't have to worry about the switch alignment being an issue. It will also help us with our keys that go in the universal spots, because we'll be able to clip them into place much easier. Okay, so I'm just going to go through now, popping all the switches into the board. Again, you can just feel as soon as you try and put them into the slot whether they're going to go in or not when you've got films on them. The trick is to don't force it. If it doesn't go, just use another switch, make sure it's all fully closed. Make sure you don't have a bent pin. Okay. Yeah, see, you can feel it as soon as you start to try and press it that it's not quite closed properly, because it's just sticking in the plate rather than clipping in. The cream pie stabs Anthony disassembled. I didn't see that, sorry. I assume you mean Anthony 001. I don't think I've ever watched one of his streams. That's that film's a nightmare. Yeah, I mean, it's fine because sometimes the switches don't hold together if you don't use films, but sometimes it's just a bit of a pain to put the switches into the plate because they're not fully together properly. Like, if you're aware of it when you're putting the switches together, you can kind of double check and you can make sure that they're all nice and solid and in place. If not, then, well, you just have to kind of do it this way. It's partly my fault for not telling Pace that this is one of the issues that we might fall into. You know, just a case of checking each one, making sure it's all nice and closed before we try and push it in, and if you feel any resistance as we do it, just stop. Okay, so even with a visual inspection sometimes you can't quite see it, but you can feel it as soon as you try and push the switch in. Gonna have to go, sadly. Maybe back before this is finished I can see the result. Yeah, come back, Selvin. We want to see what you think to it. You can help us do our J score at the end. I'm really excited to do the J scoring, actually, guys. I'm really, really excited to do that with you and see what you guys think and how you want to rate them. Be a bit of audience participation. Maybe it's something that I should do as an ongoing basis during the stream, actually. You know, you guys can tell me what you think to the boxes we're doing, the unboxing, all of that kind of stuff. That might be a better way of doing it, actually. Let's get these switches in, and then once I've got the switches in, let's do exactly that. Let's start to fill out some of the form, guys, and start to fill out what you think in terms of a J score. And as I say, we'll do the community score and the J score, and do them both together. Easily the worst build I think I've seen. Thanks very much, man. Thank you, 10 Strong, for that vote of confidence. I mean, you don't have to watch. I'm not going to force you to if you're not interested in what I'm doing, dude. Oh, you meant Anthony's build? Yeah, I've never watched any of Anthony's streams or videos. It's he's one creator that's always seemed to have slipped under my radar. I feel like I've once tuned in and he was doing Lego, not keyboards, which is cool. But yeah, I've never really watched any of his builds, so I don't know if he's ever watched any of mine either. This is something a board built by Viper. Oh, now that makes a lot more sense. Yes. Okay. That makes more sense. That does make more sense. Yes. Okay. So yeah, we'll get these in, and once the switches are in, before we solder, we'll go ahead and we'll do the first part of the J score. And then we'll come back, we'll do the soldering, and then we'll carry on with the rest of it, and the rest of the J score, and see what you guys think. Because I'm really excited to see how you guys feel about doing the J score, see whether you think it's a good idea, whether you dislike it. And if it is a good idea, then I can just keep doing it, and I can add historic boards that we've done as well. We might have a stream where we catch up on some more recent boards and we talk about that. Okay, starting to get aching thumbs now, guys. These switches are so tight to squeeze back together, which is part of the reason why I want to break after we've got them in. Okay, flop spot avoided. Tends to get always stuck with the damaged or broken leftovers of everything. Well, build them better, you know, CNC them better, and you wouldn't have any damages, right? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. The work I've seen you do, dude, is awesome, and the Borsdorf as well, which I built one of, and I've got another to build soon, is exceptional. So yeah. Yeah, I'll add a command next week if you guys like the J score, then we'll add a command so that you can pull up the spreadsheet. As I say, I don't want to share it until I've actually had a go at it and tidied it up a little bit and made it nice and pretty, because it's just very, very basic at the minute. You need to check out my latest work though. Well, maybe I should come and visit you. Maybe I should just pop over and come and see you. You shoot me anything you want, dude, and I'll have a look at it. Yeah. So Talisman, what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called a J score. Basically, I'm ripping off a YouTuber called Doug who does car reviews, and he does what's called a Doug score. I'm going to do a J score at the end for keyboards. So basically, we're going to classify it in terms of a few different categories, and we're going to say, was the unboxing experience nice, and what mark out of 10 it was, and all of that kind of stuff. We're going to do every build stream if you guys enjoy it. And what we're then going to do is put it all in a spreadsheet and then track it so you guys can see what the actual J scores that we've come up with historically have been, what we think to the boards. We'll do 2 rows for each board. We'll do a community score and the J score. So I'll give it my points and then we'll ask you guys to give it your points for each one. You guys can help me, as this is the first stream, help me come up with the titles of the columns. I've got some already in place, the ones I wanted to do. We can add or remove or change or tweak as you guys see fit. Man, these switches are killing my fingers today. Thought you scored something or someone. No. New rating system, yeah. Date with a supermodel. Man, I've got my wife. My wife is a supermodel, or as far as I'm concerned, she is. J-date when? J-date when? That's making me laugh. Quirks and features. Yeah, well, I haven't added that as yet. But it might be something we can add. I think one of the quirks we can definitely talk about is... So I've just pushed this switch in and then I've realised I've got it stuck. So I'm just going to try and prise it out. There we go. Speaking in the abstract. Ah, I see. Well, that makes more sense. Okay, almost there with these switches now, guys. Making sure they're all clipped together nicely. It does add a bit of tension, does the stickers, the films, which is why it's taking a little bit longer than normal to build these guys. My own fault for not checking the switches prior to the stream, but sadly I didn't have time today. It was on my list of things to do this morning. Didn't but we're almost there now. Almost got through all these switches. That's definitely not clipped. You can see that one wide open. There we go. Yeah, okay, so we're going to need to remove that one. Trying to prise up the switch when I've dug it in. I have to get an IC extractor on that one. Almost there now, guys. Just another couple of minutes and we'll be done with the switches and we can start the J scoring and the community scoring, of course. Okay, stepped caps is what Pace asked for, so that's what we're going to give him, stepped caps, which is the only real answer to the caps lock question. Okay, just the last 2 switches. We've got one switch that we just need to get the IC extractor on because it's stuck and replace, but that should be a 30-second job. Okay, let me me just grab an IC extractor. I'm sure I have one somewhere around. Typically, no. Yes, there we go. There we go. Just remove that switch and we'll put a different one in. There we go. So that's all of that done. Okay. So we'll come back onto the soldering in a few minutes. Let's let my thumb recover. Let me share with you the J-score screen. So I'm going to just open that up now. You should be able to see that any second now. Where has it gone? There we go. Can you guys see that? Nope. Okay. I tested the PCB earlier on, Jay. When we put the things on it, it'll be fine. I'm confident with it never being open, it'll be completely okay in terms of that. So I'm just gonna edit this because I think it's not quite working. Let me edit that. Why is that not showing? Why is that not showing? Okay, let me remove it and re-add it. Window capture, add source, new source. Oh, keyboard not plugged in. That would help. There we go. There we go. Okay, let me just shrink this down a little bit. Ta-da. Okay. So this is what I'd got so far, guys, for the J score. Hopefully you guys can see that nice and clearly. So what I wanted to do is go through a few things. So build score, give it a build score out of 10 for each one. So difficulty, packaging and first impressions. Then give it a home score. How would this perform in your home? Style, quality, typing experience and cool factor. And then a work score, which gives practicality, office acceptance and volume. And then we'd do a series of scores across from there. We'd add them up and we'd give it a grand total and then a percentage out of the maximum score and see how that was. So let's have a look and see what you guys think. Yes, it is the wrong layout on the bottom row. Good spot. I need to take out 2 switches. Correct. We'll come back to that anyway. We would have realised that when we were soldering it, I hope. There we go, fixed. Okay. Like I said, you got wing keys in it. Yeah, I've removed them. Removed them, got them out there. Spacebar switch missing, like Tiger said. Yeah, I haven't put the spacebar switch in yet. Yeah, okay. I was that concentrated on getting the J scores up. Ashley says he feels ignored. I will read chat eventually. Goofed off again. Goofed off bottom row. It's fixed. It's right. It's right. Look, it's fixed. It's correct. That's right. That's what you wanted, right? That's the right bottom row. All of 2 seconds to fix it. Okay, so what do you think, guys, to this J's keyboard score? So this would be a document that I'd share. So let's first of all put in what the board is. So it's the Matrix 1.2 OG, and the switches are vintage blacks. Then what we'll do is I'll split this into 2, so and we'll have it as I'll add an extra column in here, insert column. Yeah, let's do it this way. And then we can have the J score and we can have the community score. And then what we can do is we can just merge these cells later on. So I think it's in the format on here. Merge cells, merge all. There we go. So I don't use Chrome all of that often for or Google ones for there. So in terms of the build score, I'll probably change these columns around in terms of the order. But first impressions, I'm going to give this a solid 7.5, I think. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Yeah, I'll specify plate as well. Okay, yeah, we'll add in the plate later on. In fact, you know what? Fuck it, we'll put it in now. Sod it, we'll put it in now. Alu plate. There you go. There you go. There you go. Right. Okay. So, right. So first impression, I'm giving it a 7.5 in terms of my first impression. Guys, just post a number in chat for your first impression score. We're just going to do the build score 3 for the now. So just put first impression in terms of chat. 7.5 seems on the money. 8.5. 8, 8, 8, 7.5. Okay, there's more 8s. There's an 8.5 as well. There's two 7.5s. A 7, that's the lowest one as well. Okay, an 8. 8. Seems like the community score is 8, so I'm going to go with 8 for that one. Ooh, a couple of harsh ones coming in there later on. Okay, let's say for the packaging, I think it's a solid 8 for the packaging. What do you guys think for the packaging? Come on, guys, give me your scores for the packaging. Ashley thinks it's a 10. 98, 9.8 actually that means 9, 8.5, 9, 8.5, 8.5, 8, 9. So there's a lot of 9s, there's a few 10s, there's a 9.8 in there, there's a couple of 8.5s in there. I think you guys are going for an average of about 9 there on that one. So 9, I'm going to go for that. Okay, so you guys are a little bit more forgiving than me, clearly. 9 because I made 9s. Fair enough, yeah, okay. So it seems to be an average of 9 there. 9, a couple of 10s, a couple of 9.5s, a couple of 8.5s. Lowest I think is 10 strong and 7.6. I'm going to try and keep it to 0.5, so whole numbers and 0.5s. Pass and then average the scores like Nathan Simmons. Yeah, we'll have to have a look at that, UB. Let's have a look at that off stream and we'll see if we can get to it. As I literally had this idea 10 minutes before stream, so you know. Just trying to inflate its value of flip. Okay, so in terms of the difficulty for the build, what do you guys think on that? I'm gonna give the difficulty a 7.5 as well because there's no clear instructions on how to do that. And my estimation for a 10 is I would have to SMD solder all of the components. That's a 10 is SMD soldering all of the components. I think this is an 7.5. I'm going to go for 7.5 because that's there. The rest of the board's dead easy to do. So I'm going to go for 7.5. Amir thinks it's dead easy 3. Satanicus thinks an 8 to 6, 6, 7, 8. Highest is difficult, lowest is easy. Oh, hang on, wait a second. Yeah, so Lord K is coming up with this. Okay, so a higher score means it should be easier to build, so a lower score means it's harder. So yes, that's a good point. So I'm actually really giving that a 2.5. Yeah, so just flip your scores around, guys. Redo that. Don't know what to reference. So low is bad. So 0 is it's impossible to build. 1 is you have to hand solder all of the components. 10 is it's a breeze to build and it's dead easy. It's just switches only that you need to do. So I'm going 2.5. So we've got 4, a 2, a 4, 3.4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Yeah, because if we give it a good score, if you give it a high score, then that's a good score. If your difficulty is high, then technically the score should be low. Lord K was absolutely on the money with that one. 4. So I think the consensus here is it's about a 4. That's hard to think about it. Yeah, it's late in the day for you 10 strong. I get that. So I think the consensus is about 4. I'd change the label, says Mr. Bobshop. No, I think the label's fine. Ease of build. Okay, yeah, okay, we'll flip it around in terms of positivity. It still means the same thing, but yeah, ease of build. Yeah, okay, cool. The category itself, ease of building. Yeah, okay, yeah, Petrov and Slippery Pete are both on the money there. Okay, you call it the same thing, but flipping the way you perceive it around. Yeah, there we go. 3.5 or so. Okay, so I think the average is about 3.5 from you guys. Okay, so there we go. So we'll go with that. We'll put 3.5 in. Slippery Pete says my idea. Okay, if you were first, I'm sorry, but yeah, we'll go for that. You need a bit of info that's not included, but it's easy. Okay, yeah, well, we can talk about that. Ease of build. How easy is it to build? The lower the number, the harder it is to build. The higher the number, the easier it is to build. There we go. We can go from there as well. Okay, so that's the build scores done. Now we can go back to the soldering because the layout's correct. So we'll come back to the J score for the home score later on. So have a think about what you want to see in there. You can see what I've got highlighted. So style, quality, typing experience, and cool factor. We can come back to those later on. And we'll work out what the home score and the work score come to at the end as well. So the work score, I've got practicality, office acceptance. In other words, are people likely going to be happy with using it. It's not using GMK Rainbow and some bright snazzy RGB board like a Corsair or something like this. And volume, as in, is the sound going to affect people in the work road as well? So if you guys want to have a think about those, we'll come back to them. We'll change those categories later on. So I'm happy to add or remove categories for those. So don't tell me them now. Think about them, and when we get back to that part, you can edit those with me, and we'll come up with the rest of the home and work scores, and then we'll come up with the totals and see where we get to. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to hide that for now. Okay, so that's still working. And we're going to carry on with the rest of the build. So as you can see, magically, we have got the spacebar switch in place. We've also got the 2 wing keyless switches removed, and it's now got the correct bottom row layout. So the next job for us to do is to go through and solder all of the switches. So we're going to do that as quickly as we can, considering that we've already been streaming for nearly 2 hours, and normally my streams are less than this, so we'll catch up as quickly as we can. Gosh. Very slow today. My emails are going crazy. That's probably people pinging me about the IDB. That's a joke. I'm sure they're not. I'm sure everyone's waiting for the formal announcement and email address from UPass, which we'll share in the next couple of weeks. So you guys are having to think about what other components we can add to the J-score. And tell me, guys, as well, if you enjoy that kind of content, if you guys want to see more stuff like the J-score, then tell me, because I'm really excited to do the J-score and keep that up. And I might do a catch-up stream where we take 3 or 4 boards through the J-score and don't do a build. And we have the community score and we have my score on there as well. So if you guys are enjoying that and you like the debate, let me know. Do say so. If you think it's a good idea, then again, let me know. Okay, almost through the first row here. Solder them together quite nicely. It's one of those PCBs where it takes a while for the solder to flow down. I think it's because the pads are a little bit smaller than on some other PCBs, but that's fine. It's working okay. Okay, almost there now. Couple more switches to go, and then we're done with this row, and then we can move on to the next one. Okay. I think 2 point sounds way too low for ease of build. Okay, interesting. Home sound versus work sound. Okay, sound is 2 of them. Style is too colloquial. Okay, interesting. Come up with a different one. Style and cool factor are the same. I don't think so, because style, you can have something stylish, but it might not be cool. Whereas you can have something cool that's not stylish. So yeah. But again, I'm happy to come up with what you guys want to do. Cool factor will have to be the keycaps. Yeah, we should add a column for the keycaps as well, because it's about the build as a whole. Although I don't want to take it away from... In fact, maybe we just want to keep it about the board and not use the keycaps as a judgment for it. Because that would be, something that's different for everyone, whereas the build might be the same. So switches, plate, and keyboard, and keep keycaps out of it, the keycap choice out of it. Volume noise leveling for terminology. I thought it was meant to be a cubic volume. No, I don't know if you reminded me up on that one or not. It's not meant to be a cubic volume. So Ashley says hot swap better. I think it makes it easier to solder. That doesn't mean to say that it's better overall, but it makes it easier, and that's the thing that we're judging on that. It'd have to, of course, win on all of the other points as well, such as the style, the usability, and everything else, the design, the boxing and packaging experience. So, a Rama board might feature quite highly, which is quite right, but then it depends on what it feels like from a work and a home perspective as well to get the total score. And as I say, we'll go with the final number and the percentages as well, which I haven't put the formula in because I literally had the idea like 10 minutes before stream. So that's why it's not very well developed and thought out. I should have really taken another week, but I was excited to share it with you guys. Okay, almost there now on this row as well. As we've got through this row, shouldn't take too much longer to get through the rest. Okay, just about done on this row now. Anti can never get more than a 5.5. Well, I wouldn't judge it on the layout because that's down to the individual. ASMR category, totally subjective and meaningless, like keyboards. Yeah, it is all meaningless. It's just fun, that's the thing. J-score seems like good fun, good way to activate the audience during the stream. Value category, things like the series would kill there. Yeah, okay, value is a great one. Let's add that into the mix. Can we have a rating as well for the person building it? Well, of course, it's going to be a 10 every week if it's my streams you're watching. I was a little surprised by the high unboxing rating. I thought, yeah, did it have some stuff that was nice done, like the bags, but also it had some stuff floating around loose, like some small dings to the corners, and I think the front face was padded. The dings in the corners, it's been shipped around a few times. It's come all the way across the world, so yeah. HB85 custom wooden crate with cloth packaging and leather straps. That does sound good. I think my mark, something like the gingham, would get an 8.5 or 9 for unboxing, which is pretty unnoticeable, but not unreal. Okay, interesting. I guess it depends where the benchmark is. Well, that's the thing. We've not got a benchmark, have we? So we need to do this a few times, and it might be that we have to come back and revise historic scores because something new has come out and blown out of the water. What's a 10 now might not be a 10 in 2 years' time. So, you know, it's the same as video game ratings if you think about it. You know, what they give a 10 in 2007 wouldn't necessarily be a 10 now. If someone released Final Fantasy VII now in the shape and form as it was back in '97, and not doing the remake, then you know people probably wouldn't rate it as highly because it's not got great graphics for the current time, and you know it's unplayable in terms of sprite animations and stuff like that. So you have to take a lot of that into consideration, that over time what we class as a 10 now and what are historically good boards, you know, that we're judging them in the moment and not judging them over time. So it might change. But again, it's just decided to be a little bit of fun. As I say, I wanted to do a community score and a J score and see how we stack up and see whether we rate numbers similarly or differently. And if I can get a bot that will, you know, do an average of the current scores as long as people put them in chat, then that's something to look into as well, because that might be an option. Okay. I'm just going to do this left-hand cluster all at once now, and then it's all done. So I'm just going to do the arrow keys, and I've just got the 60% side of the keyboard left to do. Okay, almost done now. 3 more rows to go. Last row should be quite quick. Think about a 10 means you can't do better. You can't do better right now. It's fun. I mean, SMR gives good ground for debate, which is what it's all about. Yeah, they don't revise scores similar to movies. Exactly. Yeah, they don't revise scores. Yeah. I think you'll find this Final Fantasy VII is still a solid 10. Yes, it is. But if it had never come out and it came out now, it wouldn't be. People wouldn't judge it that way. That's what you think. Value because price performance ratio. Yeah, maybe we need to adjust the columns. Let's talk about adjusting the columns when it comes through to Janik. Yeah. What about customization? The amount of different layouts possible. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, we can add that in. Think of a good name for the column, and we can talk about whether we add them in. It's a community experiment. I don't want to add anything in future weeks though in terms of columns. Whatever we set today, that's it. So you guys are on the forefront of agreeing what a J score is made up of. It's difficult to go back and give a board an additional column score later on if we need to. Oh, so we've got a bent pin on that one, so we're just going to need to come back and fix that switch shortly. Should have checked that. I was too excited about doing J scores to check for bent pins. Oh, I'm getting likes on YouTube comments now. Apologies for that noise, guys. It was probably really loud in the microphone. I do apologise. Okay. So yeah, it's definitely be thinking about what you guys want to see as the categories. Because as I say, once we set those categories, I'm not going to change them. They are going to be fixed. And that way we can just keep it going as a bit of fun each week. So you guys are on the ground floor. You guys are the important ones. You guys are the firsts, making up the community shout out of the J score. Okay, I'm going to do the bottom row of the PCB whilst I do a secondary row, and then it's all done together. Okay, making some good progress now, guys. Almost finished soldering. Shouldn't take too much longer, another couple of minutes at most, and we'll be done. This is where I find out that I've put some switches in the wrong place on the bottom row, even though I thought I got it right. No my luck. I'm sure it's right though. We'll soon find out. We'll soon find out. Okay, almost there now. Just one bent pin that we just need to fix, which will take a minute or so at most. And then we can carry on with the rest of the build, do a bit of a typing test, do the J score, answer any final questions, and then close out the stream. So be about 20 minutes remaining, I would have thought, somewhere in that sort of region. Okay, almost there now. Okay, cool. So we're just going to switch out this one switch that's got a bent pin. So I'm just going to grab hold of that with the extractor. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some slight pressure on it whilst I hit the pin that's already soldered. And then remove it, just like so. And we're just going to fix this really quickly and easily. And then we're going to put it back into the board, heat up the pad that we've just put solder on, and hopefully that'll all clip in together nicely. Let's line it up, there we go. There we go, resoldered that one. Just resolder that one last pin. And there we go, all done. Okay. So that's that all put together. So now what we're going to do is put the case in the top part. I can just see that we've got some grease on the desk here, so I'm just going to mop that up really quickly. There we go, nice and easily done. Get the wife to put that in the dishwasher later on. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to pop the top part of the case on, nice and evenly. Flip that over. Just going to make sure that that acrylic is embedded nicely, because it seems to be popping out. There we go. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll just screw that together nice and evenly. This is where Talisman preps his phrases for me. Is there a layout rating or anything related to the layout or unique traits or anything? No, we can have a look at that. I'm absolutely happy to have a look at all of those things, 10 strong. I'm absolutely happy to give those a view. There we go, that's one. Accessibility, sometimes I read about the keyboard, but then I can't find out about it anymore, but that one might change through time, so I don't know. Yeah, but remember, it's supposed to be a snapshot of what's available at the time, so I don't think it's particularly difficult to get a hold of if you knew how to do it. I think a lot of the communities difficult to get into if you're new to it. So perhaps that wouldn't be the best one to use. The more I think about that one, I'm probably against putting it in. Desk mat in the dishwasher. Well, the missus put them in the actual washing machine today. So, but I have used a dishwasher before because you can lay it over the rack nicely. Professionalism column. Yeah, so maybe that's what I need to rename one. So definitely look at that. Not at the right computer today. There we go. I thought you'd memorised it and typed it out differently each week. Okay, almost there now in terms of screwing this together. Okay, there we go. Then we can take the base of the case with this nice rubber sheeting in it, and we can pop that in as well. I'm just going to tuck the cable over. That might need some pace. If you're struggling with the cable later on, you might just need to tape it down just in a position like so, just to make sure it doesn't affect anything. It should be okay for just screwing it together though today. There we go, that's all nice clipped together. The first thing we're going to do is put one screw in at one side in one corner, and then we're going to use the opposite corner to align everything. So this isn't going to go fully tight, we're just going to go finger tight with that one. Then what we're going to do is we're going to line up everything in this bottom corner and then put the next bolt in. And then we will tighten this one up once everything feels nice and flush. And then we'll come back and just give that one a little bit more of a tighten. And that way we've got the case nice and flush all the way around. And then we'll just quickly screw this all together. I should be going diametrically opposed, but I'm not. I'm cheating today in terms of speed. Okay. Almost there now. Oops. Hope if I don't drop these. Then we'll catch up with chat and see what you guys think about some of the other suggestions. You guys do also need to help me pick a keycap set for this so we can test it out. But there we go. Okay, so that's the board now all built and put together. Everything's feeling nice and firm and tight. I'm just going to plug the board in and see how it does. Make sure we've got everything from a switcher's perspective working, and then we'll put the keycaps on. You guys have got a choice between GMK Tarot, GMK Oblivion with white alphas, or GMK Space Cadet. So take your pick, guys, on which you want to see. That was right way around first place. There we go, that looks really smart actually. I'm not usually a fan of LED lighting, but that looks really, really good. Just going to clean up some little blobs of grease that I've got on top. There we go. That looks so cool. I'm not usually a fan of lights, but that looks really, really good. I'm really, really impressed with that. Okay guys, so didn't you miss a screw? Did I? Nope, all there. No screws missed. There we go. Okay, cool. Tarot. Can you toggle the mode with scroll, lock, pause, and tab? Yeah, I'll do that later on. Scroll, lock, pause, and tab. Now you're trying to test what which keys which on a TKL. So let's do switch hitter first. There's switch hitter. Let's get that up so you guys can see it. Wrong one. That one. There you go. So let's go through the keys first of all. So that is in ANSI layout. So let's go through escape, F1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Print screen, scroll lock, and pause. They're all working just fine. Working just fine there. Okay, Okay, looking good. Caps lock's working. All through the ASD row, everything's looking good. Shift. Okay, looking good. Control Alt space Win Control. Insert, delete, home, page up. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, switch it shows everything is working as it should be. So we're all good from that perspective, so I'll hide that. So you can toggle the mode with scroll lock, pause, and tab. So scroll lock, pause, and tab. Okay, so scroll lock and pause are up here, and we can hit tab. Try and okay, so you guys can see that it's changed colour. That's a changing colour on each pass. So it's going red, green, purple. Is that on key press? Yes, that flickers on key press in a random position. That's a that's a greenish yellow light. It's not showing up correctly, guys. But that's a greenish yellow light. That's off. That's just fading through colours, which is quite nice. That's rainbow across it, fading across it, and then back to the original one. There we go. Nice. Top right two switches. There's a vid delay, or a sound vid delay. Is there? Okay, let's see. Let's clap. Do you see or hear that differently? Sound is a bit behind video. Switch hitter is ahead of both the cam and the audio. Yeah, so switch hitter will be, because the camera takes a delay, so whereas switch hitter doesn't. So there will be a delay between that, but you shouldn't see a delay between the two cameras. So if I hold my finger up here, you should see that it bends at the same time. I manually add a delay to the face cam because that's usually a lot more accurate and faster to format than the other. It's just the video delayed on there. So the actual camera here and the actual camera here, they show about 4 seconds after it's taken, because it just takes that time to process it through all the gubbins that's going on in the background. Whereas switch hitter shows up straight away, because that's a piece of software that you're seeing in screen grabbing immediately. So that's happening as I press it, whereas the cameras are picking up everything and even displaying it on the screen for me a couple of seconds after I do the action. So that's why it is. It's just one of those things. I didn't want to add a delay onto another bit of software as well. So there we go. Okay, so that's that. So guys, so Space Cadet, Taro, or Oblivion, you've got 20 seconds. Go now, because I need a drink. So Taro, Space Cadet, or Oblivion. Oblivion, Oblivion, Taro, Oblivion, Oblivion, Space, Oblivion. 15, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, most of those votes are for Oblivion, so let's go for GMK Oblivion. So let me grab that out. I don't knock everything over to do so. There we go. Let's put the board there. Okay, so it looks like one of my boxes has exploded underneath here in terms of some of the keycaps. There we go. A TKL with GMK and Vint Blacks. I think if you remember my meme Satanicist, that was correct. I made a joke on Reddit about it a couple of months ago. It was a nice little meme where I said it was one of these SpongeBob SquarePants memes, and it did quite well, to say the least. And I also made the same joke at the latest UK meetup to poor Ryan Quadepo, the guy behind Minimal with Janglad, where I said he wanted to know why his Jane didn't win Best in Show. And I said, is it a TKL? And he said, yeah. I said, has it got Vint Blacks? He said, yeah. And I said, he's wearing GMK? And he said, yeah. I said, there you go. It was all just a bit of fun. There's a reason that people put that on keyboards. And I'm not one to judge. It was more of a joke than anything else. Okay. Daring today, aren't we? Yes, that's exactly what the meme said. Okay. Sadly, I don't have the monochrome kit to hand for this, otherwise I could have used that, but I think Oblivion's nice enough anyway as a colourway to not need the monochrome kit. have been tempted to sell this, but I don't think I will. Okay, so question, guys: white key here or grey? Your power is in your hands. You can tell me, and I will change it if you disagree with me. I'll put in the white one there. So that key, do you think it should be white, or do you think it should be the grey? The grey is just there for reference at the side. So let me know how you think it looks best. White, 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 all white alphanumerics. Okay, okay, interesting. Everyone's saying white, white. Okay, we can definitely do that. We can leave it white. Okay, next choice, guys. I think there is a mod coloured key for here, the pipe key, or do you want the white coloured pipe key for the pipe? Mod or white? Again, start posting now. Grey, white, 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 mod, white, white. Everyone's saying white. Only 3 for grey. Everyone else says white. Okay, we'll go for the white one. I found it was a little bit weird, but hey, you guys are the boss. This is where someone counts up and tells me there's actually more votes for grey than there is for the white. As owner of the nicest Oblivion board ever built, white is the only correct choice. I'm sorry, but you probably don't have the nicest Oblivion board ever built. I would disagree. Okay, we've got stepped caps, so you've got no choices on that one, I'm afraid, guys. He knows I'm only winding up. I don't know what board he's on about, so it might well be, it might not be. I just like to wind him up. He's a good guy though, because he bought a key set off me to give to someone else, which is just really nice of him. Really nice of him. Step caps is super yikes. Step caps is the only caps lock you should be using. It's traditional, it's vintage, it's the right caps lock in my opinion. Go on, Ashley, tell me what board that you've got with with Oblivion on. Tell me what board it is, and then I can judge. Check Discord, Jay. I can't check Discord. Oh, he's pinged me. Yeah, pinged me. Let me have a look. Let me have a look. LZMP. Okay, first mistake. It's an LZ. I'm just kidding. I'm winding him up. I have to find something bad to say. Okay, it's a nice board. I wouldn't say it was the nicest board I've ever seen, but it's a nice board and it's very good photography. You can definitely take a picture, dude. You can definitely take a good photograph. I'm just not keen. One thing I'm not keen on that board about is how the brass accents are different. They're just it doesn't fit around the corner. Like you've got a brass piece across the back here, and then you've got brass piece on the corners, and it just doesn't all flow for me. But it's a design stylistic choice. I get why it's like that. It's a nice board though. I wouldn't say I disliked it. The big problem with it is it's ANSI, not ISO. Okay, so almost here now, guys. You can see that this is starting to take shape. Okay, and there we go. See how many J points it gets. Yeah, send it to me and we'll give it a J score, shall we? Let's. If anyone wants me to review their board, I will happily give it a J score. Okay, so that's that all put back together. My office is a mess again already, and I only tidied it up this afternoon. There we go. Oh, keycap. Can't be losing that. There we go, guys. That's the board put together and built. Just clean off these few fingerprints that we've got on the board here. There we go. So this is it, guys. This is Matrix OG 1.2 TKL with GMK Oblivion with Vint Blacks. How nice does that look, guys? Let's look at it from the back. You can see that you've got the brass hanging out there. That rattle you can hear, that's that little plastic piece that's inserted, so I'd definitely glue that in when you get the board paste, definitely glue that in. You see the USB port at the back for the little plastic connector, which is kind of fun. The accents underneath. Excuse the fingerprints. I'll clean those off before I ship it. All looking rather tasty. So I'm not going to plug the board back in, but I am going to plug my keyboard back in, just in case I need it. Because we'll need to plug in those J-score numbers and update those J-score columns shortly. So I'm just going to plug that back in for now. There we go. But the next thing to do is do a sound test of this board and see what you guys think, and we can judge all of the other bits and pieces from there as well. So bring the microphone a little bit closer. So as I said, guys, this is the Matrix 1.2 OG with vintage blacks, which have been lubed with Crytox 205 grade 0, Victorinox oil on the springs. They've got a film, in between the switch layers as well, and GMK Oblivion keycaps. There we go, guys. Sounds kind of nice. I'm kind of enjoying that. Aluminium plates never sound great on the spacebar, I find. It's just one of those things. I think that sounds great all over. Spacebar just tapping the plate a little bit, but there's no rattle in there. It definitely is, you know, a really nice sounding board. I really like the sound of this. Yeah, okay. So that sounds incredible. That might be the rubber layer inside. That might be that rubber layer that's giving it that sound. But that sounds phenomenal. Somehow I managed to build these new GMK stabs without any rattling as well. I don't know how I managed to do that, but they are amazing. That sounds fantastic. Okay, colour me incredibly surprised because I did not expect it to sound anywhere near that good. A bit lighter all to you from all the cutouts. Now I think that helps it. The switches are a little bit lighter than I'd like. They're 63.5 gram. I tend to prefer a heavier spring. But no, the sound is phenomenal. Wow. Okay, so Pace, you are not getting the board back, I'm afraid, dude. It's broken, it's damaged, it's severely handicapped and crippled and defunct, and I'm really, really sorry, but it'd be remiss of me to post it back to you, I'm afraid. So there we go. Yeah, it sounds incredible, right? It sounds really, really good. Jay, is this nicer than you thought it was going to be? 100%. Yeah. 100%. Way nicer than I thought it was going to be. There's a couple of things I don't like stylistically about the board, but the actual build quality, the way it goes together, some of the surprising parts, the lack of instructions hurts it, but the actual quality of the board once it's built, the sound is phenomenal. The layout choices are a bit. I wish there was more choice. I wish you could split left shift and put an ISO enter in there. That would make it perfect for me. I don't like the fact that the plate is not fixed. It should have the ISO section removed if it's not going to offer that in the PCB, in my opinion. But overall, I think that's a really nice board, and it sounds way better than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be nowhere near as nice sounding. So there we go. Okay, so with that said, it's now time to bring back the J-score and let's finish off turning up these columns. So we've done the build score. The build score is complete. We're not going to tweak that or change that or do anything on that. The next thing we need to look at is the home score and the work score. So I do want to split this into two. Definitely want to have home and work because I think those are two key places where people use their keyboards. So if you guys can think of any other columns or any changes to these columns, now is the time to tell me. Whew. Manox says he uses 1.2 OG more than his Jane V2. Yeah, I think this sounds nicer than my Jane V2. Yeah. Yeah, I want it. I absolutely want it, but I want an ISO version. So I'm wondering if it's compatible with other PCBs, and I could just fudge that to work. Okay, so value. Okay, yeah, I think we definitely need a value column. So let's add. Let's have the first one as value. And then we can have one as style. Okay, so value. I think I agree that that's correct. Build score should have a price. Okay, yeah, we can add a price column in. Price. Okay, and what did we say that was? I think it retailed for $380. I think something like that. Does anyone know? Pace now $370. Okay, so let's go with $370, and I'll merge those cells so that it can't be changed. Format. Merge cells, merge all. Okay, so build score is done. I'm not going back to that. That's where it was. So value, let's typing experience, cool factor. So do we want to change the value a little bit? Typing experience should be split by feel and sound. Okay, so typing sound and typing feel. Okay. Okay, I'm down for doing that. That sounds good. That sounds like a winner choice to me. I want to see what the other light stuff that bar does because I don't think it, as is, I don't think it's very stylish. That's fair. We went through all of the bits and pieces. We can't judge the feel from here, can we? No, you can judge the sound though, and I can do the feel, and you'll just have to accept my score for that. So that'll be a merged score. Okay, so I think that's good for home. We've got value, we've got style, we've got quality, we've got typing sound, typing feel, and cool factor. Anything else you guys think we should have in the home score section? The wrist breaker is pretty polar. Yeah, okay. Well, that's a different board, isn't it? So we can't really just, yeah, okay. Oh, just one setting. Yeah, I ran through the settings earlier on, 10 strong. Clearly you were paying tons of attention when I did that, so yeah. Okay, so I think we've got there. Innovation. Does innovation come into it? I think it does. I think you're probably right, yeah. I think I like an innovation column, so let's add that. Innovation column, okay. I think no, it can be innovative and not cool. You know, like the board that gave us haptic feedback, that was innovative. I don't know if I'd class that as cool or not. I'd have to think about it. Okay, so I think we've got the right things in here now. I think that's good. We'll come to the work score in a second. Let's go through the home scores and do them now. So, guys, you've got 20 seconds to put your value score into chat. Put your value score into chat and tell me what you think the value is out of 10. Let me know what you think that is. So just give me your value score. So it was $370 and you get all of that for it. Is it worth it? I think that's pretty value. I think it's a good 8. I'm going to put an 8. I'm going to wait and see what you guys come up with. So I'll give it another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Done. Okay, no more scores now. That's it, guys. No more scores. Right, let's look at these. So an 8, 7, 8. So we're averaging 7.5. 7.5 still in there. 7, a 9. So that's probably taking it up to 7.75. I keep clicking on things that I shouldn't be doing. On another 8. Okay, so you know, I think we're 7.5 overall. 9, 9, 9, 8. Oh, 9. Okay. So I think you guys are broadly saying an 8 there in total. I think there's enough 7s and enough 9s to justify that you guys are coming up with an 8 as well. So let's put that in there. And as I say, we'll get a bot to do this going forwards. Yeah, average 8. Okay, cool. We get a bot to do it going forwards. Okay, so style. Okay, so you guys have got 20 seconds now to put in your style. So anything after the 10:34 time mark is going to be judged for style. I'm going to be a critic on this one. I don't like that plastic badge. I don't like that brass there, but I do like the weight, and I really like the infill. I'm gonna give it a 6. Sorry, I'm trying to show off. Let me bring it over here. It's behind chat, but I don't like this plastic bit in here. I don't like that bit there. I do like that, and I do like this bit here, where it's got the that all engaged. So I'm gonna go for a 6. Okay, you can stop putting it in there now, guys. Let's see what people said. So it's 10:34 was the cutoff. Oh, you were still posting 10:34, bugger. Oh well. So you was 9, 10's from a J, 6 from a Frisco Melt. So we're probably an 8.5 there, 8, 9.5. Gosh, some high scores. Ashley comes up with a 6, and 10 strong with a 5.5. Wow, that's pretty low. That's even lower than me, and I thought I was being pretty low. 7, 6.5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so no more scores on that one then, guys. I think stylistically you guys are probably closer to an 8 overall, because there's a couple of 10s in there. I don't know. I feel like 7. Okay, I'm gonna split the difference with you and go 7.5. 7.5 seems to be the difference. Okay, quality. Okay, so this is where we're taking the quality of the board. I think the quality is quite high. For me, if you guys post anything with a 36 timestamp afterwards, is going to be counted for this. I think the quality is quite high. I think it's going to be an 8 for quality from me. I think the way it's designed, the way it's put together is really good. I'm really happy with it. Okay, I'll give you guys another 20 seconds. I'll have a drink. See where we get to. Okay, so Frisco Melt with an 8, Ashley with a 9, GH Beats with a 9, Santanicus with a 9, 8.5 to probably 9. 10 strong flip-flopping on his scores here, man. He's up and down all over the shop. Undercover Brother 9, the God, Tiger God says 6. 6 is really low. 6 is really low. 9, quality. 7, 8, 8, 8, 8. Okay, no more scores on quality then, guys. We'll leave it there. Plate turns you off a bit, Catcher. Fair. Yeah, okay, I get that. The downside being the plastic badge. Yeah, the plastic badge I don't like. Okay, I agree with you on that. And I do think the plastic infill here just needs to be glued in place as well, which is a little bit disappointing. So I will let you do that though, Pace. I don't want to be gluing your board. Okay, so you guys seem to probably average an 8 as well. I think that's probably fair. You seem to be around the same sort of one as me. Okay, so now we're on to typing sound. So anything with a 2237 marker after slip repeats, arrow pointing upwards, we're going to count for a typing sound. So go ahead, guys, give me a typing sound scores out of 10. I'm going to go really high on this. I'm going to go 9. So I'm probably leading the witness a little bit with some of these scores, but I'm going to go 9, see what you guys come up with. Okay, give you another 20 seconds. See where you guys think. Undercover Brother says 9. Frisco Melt says 8. Ashley says 9. 9.5 from a slip repeat. Yeah, it's really good sounding. Mr. Pedro 9.5 as well. 9 from Yui. I'm catching 9. 7.5 from Tiger God. He's been harsh. Okay, so there's a couple of 9.5s. There's a lot of 9s and there's a couple of 8s. I think you guys are probably, if we've got a bot to do it, probably in the average of 8.75. So we'd round that up because we're only doing 0.5s and holes. So I think you guys are saying that's a 9 overall. I'm going to guess that you guys are going for 9. Okay, cool. Okay, typing feel. So this is one I'm going to have to do because you guys can't feel it. It's really nice. It feels nice to type on. I don't like the layout personally because it's not mine, but I think it feels nice to type on. I'm going to give it a 7 overall to type on. I know you guys can feel free to agree or disagree on that one, but I think overall it's a 7. Some boards feel nicer in terms of gasket mount solutions. It's definitely not as nice as like the Kepler or the JO1 in terms of typing experience for me, and that's very much a my score, so I'm going to go with 7. Feel a little bit more than switches in the board though. You can feel it when you bottom out and stuff like that, and maybe it is the switches a little bit anarchy, but that's why we're calling out what switches we've got right at the front. So you know, it's this build in particular we're talking about. Could you pull up the spreadsheet in the vid, my screen, so we can see the board? Yeah, of course I can. Let me do it this way. Let me do that. How does that look for you guys? And then if I move that to the top of the screen, covering up the sponsors. I'll have to fix that for next week. Is that better? There you go. Maybe that's a better way of doing it. You're probably right. Yeah, that's nice. Cool. Okay. Okay, so type of feel, that's what I'm going to go for. Right, let's look at innovation then. So, Petrov, you came up with the title innovation, I think, if I remember rightly. So anything with a 1040 timestamp or above is going to be your guys' score for innovation. So I don't think it's particularly innovative. There's nothing that we haven't seen before. The breakout board for the LEDs is kind of cool, because why wouldn't you? But I just don't see why you wouldn't put it on the PCB as a whole. It should be on the PCB. I don't think that's much innovation. I'm going to give it a 2, but most boards are going to score low on this. I think it's going to be 2. Let's see what you guys come up with, though. Azos is better. Okay, cool. I'll remember this and keep it up here for the rest of the thing when we do this in the future as well, guys. I'll probably trim it a little bit as well and make it look nice so you guys can see it a bit better. 2 for that rubber thing that supposedly affected sound. That's a good score. Anarchy says 3. That's high. Kygod says 3 as well. 3 including that sheet. Tech innovation, just innovation in general. Innovation in terms of keyboard, design, quality, anything else. Maybe explaining what is innovative would be better. So if we saw a new mount type or a new material type, or if we saw a board that was designed from a new material and machined in a completely different way, something that's going to drop the price significantly for everyone in the community. Those are just a few examples. Something really exotic that does something very different to how we see it today. So that kind of stuff is what I see as innovative. The sheet be nice, and the badges weights are I3, 4 from Fabrirock, 3, 2. I think the average here seems to be a 2.5 or a 3. Hi to the Baron. Do you know how to program LED indicators, in particular for the Volcano 660? We probably do between us collectively. If you want to reach out on our Discord server, you can click the link below, and someone will be able to help you on our Discord server, I'm sure. Oh, write it down as a note. Yeah, we can add it as a note. Okay, so you guys seem to be going with, I'd probably say an average of a 2.5. So let's put that in. And I think we collectively, can we add comments on here? I don't use comment. There we go. So let's add a comment. Rubber sheet. Rear badge design. There we go. Why did I click there? Didn't mean to do that. Okay. There we go. Okay, I don't know how I get rid of that comment. There we go. Okay, so now we're on to the cool factor. Maybe LED dot board. Okay, yeah. How do I edit that? There we go. LED dot board. This is where I can't see. There we go. There we go. That's added in. There we go. So next is a cool factor. So anything with a 1043 timestamp or above, which is what we're on now, I'm going to put for a cool factor. So while you guys are deciding, I'm going to be really harsh on this. I'm going to give it a 5. It's completely average in terms of cool factor for me. 5. Let's see what you guys come up with. I'll give you another 20 seconds. Give you another 20 seconds or so. Let's see what you think. Yeah, it might have been innovative when it came out, actually, but we're only judging it based on what we've got now, right? It'd be unfair of us to judge things as they were 2 years ago, so we're judging it as now. Okay, I'll give you another 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's it. Cool. Yeah, you can. That's fine. If you don't have to think it's stylish, but you can think it's cool. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so let's see what you guys came up with from a cool factor perspective. 6.5, 8.5, 6.5, 6, 7, 7. Okay, so you seem to be averaging about a 7 at the minute. 6. Cool factor, Bugly 3. Wow. 4, 6. Wow, 6. I think the average probably dropped to a 7 on that overall. So I'm going to go with 7 for that. Okay, back to a cool point now, guys. We can work out what the work score is. So I've got practicality. In other words, is it easy to cart around? Is it going to be something you can take to and from work? That kind of stuff. Does it fit for use on your desk? Office acceptance. Are people going to look at your keyboard and think, why the hell is that in here? Is it going to look out of place in the office like some of our custom keyboards do? For example, I don't think the E6.5 would look particularly good in my office, but this might do. So Anything else on practicality, office acceptance, and volume that you want to change, guys, in terms of these categories? Volume, noise level. Yeah, okay, noise level, yeah. There we go. Travel factor, I've got that in kind of practicality, 10 strong, so high is good, yes. So a high score is a good score, so 10 is excellent, a low score is a bad score. Yeah, practicality for me means, is it going to be something you can carry to and from work? Can you take it to and from work easily enough, or anything else like that? Practicality. See, well, we're not judging it yet. First come out. Give me a second. See if we've got any more things on the work score to come on. I think those three are pretty fine. I can't think of anything else I need to know for work. Okay, so portability is part of practicality. Yeah, I think practically, is it something that's easy to move around the office? Is it easy to take to and from work? Is it practical to use? I think it's both. Practicality covers all of those, Mr. Petrov. Combined score for all of them. I don't want to have too many. I can't even take keyboards to work. Oh, that sucks, man. Some people can't. Okay, so practicality, guys. Then give your scores. No one's given us any more suggestions for work, so we're going to stick with these three. Practicality, I think it's all right. It's TKL. It's something you can take to work if you really want to. You can move it around. I think from a practicality perspective, I'll give it a 6. I think it's above average. Hitting it. Wonder why the key didn't work. I'm hitting the wrong one. Okay, I'll give you guys another 15-20 seconds to put your answers in. I'm losing my voice again. Practicality of an S7 elephant. Maybe I'll get one on stream. Maybe I'll have a look at it. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, you guys are all done there. So let's have a look. 7, 6, 6, 8, 5.5, 6, 6, 5, 6, 6, 7. So you guys seem to be hovering around the 6 mark as well. So I think you agree with me. I think you guys go with a 6 as well. Jade, what is wrong with your keyboard? Nothing's wrong with my keyboard. Which one? I don't know what you mean. I'm confused. That's not hard. Okay. Office acceptance then, guys. How easy is this going to be to fit into the office? Is this going to fit into the office environment? Is it going to look out of place? Bear in mind you can't judge the keycaps on this one because people could use any keycaps at all, but in terms of the actual board itself, is it going to look out of place in the office? I think this is quite high. I think it's going to look right at home in the office. I'm going to go for an 8.5 straight off the bat on this one. Let me see what you guys... Oh, I can use my keyboard at work, yeah. There's no issues with me using a keyboard at work. I just don't think this one would fit in the office environment, the E6.5. I just don't think it would look right with bright keycaps like Metropolis and stuff on it, but that's just a personal choice. Okay, I'm going to give you guys another 10 seconds to do on this one. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, score's over and done with. Let's see what you've come up with. Mr. Petrov says 9, Jay says 8, so we're quite high, 8.5 here, 8, 8.25 then, 9, 8.5 still, 10. Okay, that takes us up to 8.75 overall, 9, okay, yeah, 8.75 still, 9.5, gosh, okay, so this is bordering on 9 territory, 9.5, 8, ooh, 8, 5.5 from 10 strong, coming back down a little bit here. Okay, so that's probably taking us back down to like an 8 or something like that. 8 somewhere up there. Okay, a little gaudy to me. Anarchy says 7. Okay, so I think overall you guys are probably saying it's an 8 there, I think. 10 hits everything. Yeah, he's a good lad though. He's a good lad. Nothing wrong with hating everything. Okay. And in terms of the volume, do you think the volume is going to be accepted? We know it sounds good, but is it going to be too loud? Is that going to get you noticed in the office? If you're talking and I'm talking, is that going to distract you? Can you hear my voice clearer than you hear typing? How is that going to be in the office? Is it going to be too loud, or is it just going to sound nice in the office? Okay, I'm going to go with a 6. I think it's okay. It's not too noisy. And again, this will vary depending on switches, but I think it's fine. That's why we're declaring the switches and the plate up front in terms of what they support. Okay, for some reason a This doesn't want to move. Okay. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit wider. And just adjust it on here just so we can see. Going over me. Maybe not. Maybe just take it to there. Okay, you guys can stop there now. Let's see what you came up with. 7, 7, 7, 6, 8, 6, 5, 7. You guys are definitely averaging a 7 there. Okay, let's go with a 7 from that perspective then. Okay. Okay, not sure with those, probably around a 4. In an open office, you're going to get someone sending a letter. With that strict bench, you won't get so far. Maybe, maybe. Okay. Okay, so that's that then, guys. So we've given it some scores. I'll do this just really quickly, make sure that my formulas, because we've changed the columns now, are all correct. Okay, so that one's correct. No, let me speak to G. Okay. Okay, so that's that one correct. Okay, let's see where this one covers. That one's correct, so we don't need to update that. And that one's correct as well. So, by sheer virtue of math, we actually come out with the same total scores here, guys. So, although our numbers are different, we actually come out with the same score. So, that's really interesting. We both come out with 83.5. Let me just check that the formulas are right on that. Yep, so that's doing the right thing. So just by sheer chance, guys, we have both come out with the same score, 83.5. You can see the numbers are very different across the two, but in total they add up to the same numbers, so that's just sheer chance. Chain chat hive mind confirmed. We were really different in the build score. We were like 2.25 different. 3 different in the home score, and then 0.5 different in the work total score. But overall, when you add them together, whilst we've got different scores, we come out with the same grand total. So there we go. The Matrix OG gets a grand total score of 83.5. Let's just work out what that's out of. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 20, 30, 40. Oh no, sorry, 130. So it's 83.5 out of 130. So there you go. So I'll do the percentages later on. I'll share this and tidy it up a little bit and make it look a bit neat and tidier later on. So it's a sum of all of them. So the real score is going to be the percentage melodette when we get into the percentages later on. But it's basically 83.5 out of 130. Let me get a calculator and tell you what that is. Can't do it in my head because I'm an idiot. Okay, so 64%. 64%. There we go. So I get 64% out of 100, 83.5 out of 130. Like the rating, it's cool. The only other thing I'm going to do is give it a hot take. I'm going to add this into the end. And my hot take for this one is twice as good as I was expecting it to be. So I know you guys can't see that fully. Let me just move that across. There you go. Twice as good as I was expecting. There we go. That's my hot take on this one. I was expecting it to be okay, but not my cup of tea, and I've ended up thinking, do you know what? I don't want to give it back. So there we go. Do we give it a grade based on the percentage? Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Grade. I will add that in. I will work out what the average percentage is for grades, and I will work that into the spreadsheet and share it offline later on. So there we go, guys. Some things though, lower score is better, so it's not really best to look at total score. Where did we say a lower score was better? I think we changed around the questions for that. If that's the case, I'll adjust it, Anarchies, and I'll flip the questions around. If that is the case, I'll go through and think about it. Like, volume noise might be the right one to look at and do. Although I think we've done that the right way around. Cool factors the right way around. Innovations the right way around. Typing feel, typing sound. quality, style, value. I think they're all the right way around. We don't obviously take the price into consideration, but it's just there for noting or anything. So I think that's good. But there you go, guys. That was the first episode of Jay's Keyboard Scores. I hope you really enjoyed that, because I did. I thought that was really fun. If you guys like it, I'll build that into all of the other ones. Ease of build is the wrong way around. Okay. So if that is the wrong way around, I will adjust that score by flipping the question in the other way around and flipping the points. So if it's 2.5, it'll really be 7.5. Break down the subsection percentages. Cool. I'll build that in. Yeah, Frisco. I will build that into the spreadsheet. That's absolutely something I can build in there. I'll automate the rest of it as well, so that we don't need to worry about it. And I'll create some sort of bot as well that can do an average of scores between 2 timestamps, and we'll do that. Proof of price into the first category, good shout. I will do that as well. So repeat, you're right. Doesn't affect any of the scoring apart from value, which we'll take it into consideration. But you're right, it's not counted in that build score. So you're right, I'll take that out. Yeah. Cool. Okay, guys, I'll work on that spreadsheet. I'll get it up on Top Clack. We'll have a command for it. We'll have a command on here for it. I'll get a bot to automate some numbers and work out what the average score that you guys give it is. And we'll go from there. But I'm really enjoying it. That was really good fun. Thank you very much, guys, for doing that with me. And I hope you understood the IDB situation. If you have got any questions, just reach out to me, let me know. Yeah, thanks very much, guys. The home calc isn't picking up the merge cell for com. Oh, is it not? Okay, I will have a look at that later on. Yeah, okay. Cool. Okay, yeah, I'll have a look at it, capturing SWAT, and I'll just tweak it and change it and make sure it's right. You could possibly correct that it's not picking it up, but yeah, it literally, I had the idea 10 minutes before the stream, so this is not fleshed out, thoughtful, or anything else. But we've worked together. We've got the categories that we're going to score it as. I will tweak all the formulas, make sure everything's adding up correctly. The other thing I'll do as well is I'll add things like the weight and stuff like that of the board in, because I have got some scales that I can weigh it with. Just before we go, if you guys are interested in that, I can do that right now. Okay, so fill it built with GMK caps. The board weighs 1,989 grams. Yeah, 1,989 grams. There you go. So 1.98 kilograms. There we go. There we go. Is it fair that sound and build quality is the same as office acceptance? Don't know. We'll work it out, Mr. Petrov. We can change it and work it out later on. How many freedom units? What do you want in pounds? Pounds and ounces? 4.62 pounds. There you go. 4 pounds, 6.2 ounces. 4 pounds, 6 ounces. There you go. Cool. Right. I'm going to end the stream there, guys. Thank you very much for your time today. I really enjoyed doing that. Watch out for the links of the spreadsheet going live. Watch out for the update for the IDBs going live. Come back next week for another J score. I really enjoyed that. Thanks very much, guys. And I'll see you later. Take care, guys. Bye.